Hello, everyone. You are now listening to the Storm Connect podcast with Edo Ninja. I talk about gaming topics and animated series of my own interest, like RWBY, Kingdom Hearts, Persona 5 Royal, and so on forward. The goal I aim to accomplish on every episode is to provide insights on these subjects that are usually overlooked, to spread awareness, and learn more. In this episode, I am finally diving into the world of Final Fantasy VII before I play Remake. Though, actually, for today, I'm going to be doing something new. I actually have, I'm joining with my Discord server with me to talk about the series. I only have one member in here. He will introduce himself in a moment. How it's going to work here is that we're going to be jumping in from one place to another, starting with the original game, the Final Fantasy VII, from all the way from the around the 1900s, I believe, 90s. The Advent Children game. Oh my god, I'm screwing up. The Advent Children movie! And lastly, Crisis Core. So it's gonna be broken up to those three parts, and that's only due to the fact that the story is very complex in a way, and a little shaky. So it's pretty much just more of an open conversation to ensure that all the information is correct and aligned with each other. Especially to like ensure of like what to most likely expect for remake, since there's gonna be some new stuff that's gonna be changed up to it though. But that's why I did this, just so I could just start from the very beginning from the prior experience before diving into another new type of experience for everyone. So without any further ado, we could just jump right in. Remember, you can introduce yourself.
What's poppin', beautiful people? It's your boy Zero, also known as Sasano of the South Side, aka also known as Scoutmaster Schlumpus. You can call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner. How you doing, Edo?
I'm doing wonderful. Maybe a few side effects to that of wonderfulness, since the fact that I am feeling some type of different way about Final Fantasy VII in general. And also, I would just want to give a little bit of a fun fact before we say anything about Final Fantasy VII. So, I accidentally streamed this podcast onto my Twitch. You could see where I realized my fuck up there on twitch.tv/EdoNinjaStormHD. So, that's kind of why the intro was a little bit shaky. So, that's the transparency that you're gonna get from there. It's just one of those oops moments. So, anyways.
We're gonna rock with it. We're gonna keep going.
Yeah, we're rocking with it. So, all right. So, I've heard a lot of hype about with Final Fantasy VII specifically, and the only way that I was somewhat introduced to that concept was through Kingdom Hearts. And obviously, like, I wasn't so sure to have like how the characters should actually be perceived and such, since they were just cameos of the Kingdom Hearts series. So I always wanted to get into 7 because everyone was saying that it's like so good, it's like very amazing and stuff like that, and one of the greatest classics. So with all the games that I finally like cleared out of my backlog, I finally had the time to make content for 7, especially the fact that this was an excuse for me to jump into 7 Remake. So I played this game off stream because since this was a very old game, I wanted to believe that having the proper experience of that is only me streaming 7 Remake rather than streaming the original and such. I wanted to keep that one to myself because I wanted to see it like how it would be like, especially for how old it was. I kind of wanted it just to go up into my own pace. So that being said, for a game like that was split into 3 discs several fucking years ago, I did not expect myself to be very attached to this game. It's actually surprisingly well made for the backgrounds, the paintings and such. I was very impressed as to how they incorporate, especially to how I was introduced into the way of like what that actually was, what's actually happening, and how was the development made, especially now that development processes for games is vastly different of how it was back in the old days compared to how it is today. So, when I learned a little bit more about these characters, like what got me glued to it immediately was the fact that of how these characters acted in Kingdom Hearts. They hardly act like that in the actual Kingdom Hearts universe. They were butchered to a whole new level And that's what got me genuinely interested. It's like, okay, what is this story? Who are these other characters? Why is this happening? How in the hell did they make the cameo of Kingdom Hearts and such? Now I have a better understanding of that. So when I proceeded forward into the story, it's like, wow, they really had to cater more towards the Kingdom Hearts storyline, even as just filler content for the time being, rather than just kind of like coinciding of like what's actually happening in the world of Midgar and so on forward as to what the story is developing towards to. So Cloud is extremely different. Aerith is still like somewhat the same though, but like at the same time there are some differences that I could point out that differ from the Kingdom Hearts series though. But it's just the fact of how vital these characters are. It's just like, I just love the fact that everyone has some type of shining moment, especially to like the fact that it's very difficult to really dislike a character because of how well they're written. So, that being said, just as my brief was to Final Fantasy VII, the original, like after that, I just couldn't stop playing. I just could not stop playing. I will say like, I may have sped it up a little bit because like, obviously like I pretty much abused the power of God mode. I believe that's what it's labeled as. For the new ported version since I played it on the Nintendo Switch. So I was just more curious as to like the story and such because that's where I'm more of a heavy lore type of guy. So I wanted to ensure that I have like the better understanding of everything rather than just the combat, which it was, don't misunderstand me, it was still enjoyable at its core. But like I said, to expedite the process and such, I needed to get all the information that I had to know as to why Final Fantasy VII is great. So, and just, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed for such an old game that way. All the characters actually had some type of depth to it and such, because you normally would not expect that for such an old game like that. Like even for a game that was crammed that way for 3 discs is very impressive and very well written. I will say that like there might have been like a few, like I said earlier, like there was a little bit like shaky flaws here and there talking about with the Mako, the concept of the Mako, the reactors, and basically the whole live stream of the Ancients. So and it almost came to a point where like it almost got too convoluted, especially when I got to Advent Children. But going back to 7 though, it's just basically the best way of how I could describe my experience with 7 is that everything that I thought that I knew initially when I played the game was a dead-ass lie.
And there it is. That's what I was waiting for.
It was a fucking lie. Like, everything that was shown to your face, no. It's just like, yeah, you thought. It was basically a you thought moment to me, and I'm just like, what? So, and then I just, my server could attest to this, is the fact that, like, every time that, like, more developments were happening, and when I got to the hitting moment of 7, it's like, so Cloud is actually not like this, or, you know, the story with Tifa, it's like, okay, how many secrets are in this game are there now? Like, what is this?
Ooh, boy, there are a lot of them, let me tell you.
So, but I'm glad, which I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to throw a little bit of shade there, but in terms of the complexities, it can at least make sense, even despite the fact that it may have a convoluted point or two with the Final Fantasy VII. Compared to Kingdom Hearts, to where they just make it about hearts and shit and utterly makes no fucking sense. At least with 7, there are some workarounds to it. And I get so frustrated with that because, like, since I was introduced to Final Fantasy through Kingdom Hearts first, and then when I look at 7, I'm just here going like, why is Kingdom Hearts trying to... It's like they're trying hard to be like the world of Final Fantasy, since it's a mashup of Final Fantasy and Disney characters. But I look at that and I'm just like, this game is so old. And it's like, it doesn't make me want to question so much like I originally did for the Kingdom Hearts series as a whole. To when we entered into Birth by Sleep and so on forward, I look at this and I'm just like, this is all I wanted. This is actually genuinely all I fucking wanted. And I'm even surprised by myself, the fact that I'm saying that, like, I'm gonna give the rating to you guys right now, but I'm giving this game like a solid 8 out of 10 for a very old game. Like, even though, like, in the modern times, like, we don't play games like that anymore, because we're playing, like, games, like, that are, like, super fucking crazy, the graphics and such, like, you know, The Last of Us, and, you know, God of War, all those type of games. For a fucking polygon painting background game, why was I attached to this story so much? And, of course, the answer is just, I mean, obviously, is to play the game, but it's just that I don't have to wrap my head around for so many years and such. And what I love about 7 overall, again, is the fact that, like, they made more content for it, which, again, that's where Advent Children comes in. That's where Crisis Core comes in. And the other extensions of 7, it doesn't add in new unnecessary shit that was never introduced to the series. It's only expanding on some things that we were given at least a brief of. Like, for example, like for Yuffie, Yuffie's character and her little backstory and such, the Turks, and so on forward. We get a little brief of that, but we don't get, like, the whole entire story. And, like, when we understand that more through the other contents of the game, they give a little bit more of the background of that. And that's what I like about it. It's not interfering of anything as to what happened in the original events of 7. So that's my one thing that I just appreciate the series so much about, that it's like it can make a continuation off of it or just expand a little bit more on that, but it's not going to, like, linger off with, again, sorry, I'm throwing shade again here with Kingdom Hearts. An entirely new concept is brought out, new story branches, but it has to come together to a whole entire circle where, again, the ending, it was not even that rewarding. When, honestly, I'm gonna just say this right now, after I played 7, like, I still would have been satisfied, even though I had a couple questions. I still would have been satisfied as it, because it doesn't make me run around my head the fact that whatever important key factors this game gives you, it doesn't make you want to question the other important factors because you're already given that answer, or at least a good brief of it in a good pace. That's all I really have to say for, like, 7 as entirety at its core, you know. I had to drink my water.
Man, you really went in. You really went in.
I really did. I'm sorry. I just love this game so much, and now that I said that, I had to talk about the characters real quick. So, the first one I had to talk about is Tifa.
Really? Not Cloud? We're gonna start with Tifa? All right.
I kind of want to start with Tifa. Look, I'm sorry. I've kind of been in a Tifa mood as of recently. Look.
I mean, she's great. She's great. Go off.
She is so great. Look. I'm sorry, but it's been a while since I fell in love with a character that gives me the type of Tifa vibes, but it's just the fact of how supportive she is, and the fact that, like, she's had a lot, like, she's lost, like, a lot, almost everything. And I just look at her and I'm just like, how I admire of how strong you could be, and you're still supporting, you're giving that type of support to Avalanche and to Cloud that way. Girl, I'm so surprised you're not broken in the inside. You probably are feeling that way, but it's like, you're still finding a way to at least push forward and still stay true to your feelings. And I admire a lot about that with Tifa, and I love her for that. And she's not the type of person to just run away from it. Even in the times that, like, she just wanted to, like, she kind of wanted to, in a sense of, like, how frustrated and very emotional that she is about it. She's like, no, we have to do this and shit. And I respect a lot about that for her. And I just love her. I just fucking love her. She's fucking great.
She's great. And even when, again, a testament to, like, this game and a lot of older RPGs, when they go in on a character, they go in. Without spoiling, there are moments where Tifa wants to bring up certain events, key events to her past to Cloud, and you can see her hesitate to do it, but that's a real thing. A real person would hesitate to talk about certain things that are heavy or serious. It's solid character writing.
Yes, it really is. And I did have my questions about that initially first, but I understand as to why. I get that. Because being in the same position as that, it would be very difficult that way. It's like, especially for, like, how the events are, like, transpiring, especially to, like, what happens to Midgar, what happens to when they go off to their journeys and stuff like that. That shit is not easy.
When you get to disc 2?
Oh god, this too. Ooh man, that reveals a whole new story. Like this one is nothing. This dude, it tells you like the whole entire thing is what actually Final Fantasy VII is, and that's when I was just like, okay, all right. Speaking of that, before I move on to the next character, now I just got reminded off of something, and we're gonna have to go a little bit for spoilers for this part for Midgar. That is.
Spoiler warning, everybody.
You know what's going down. So I want to talk about the motherfucking Shinra real quick, okay?
All right, let's talk about Shinra.
The issues with Shinra and, of course, the Avalanche. So obviously Avalanche knows what's up, you know? Like, obviously to what the fuck Shinra is planning to do and what they've been doing with the Mako energy, everything else. You get the idea. So I had a note on this on my phone, and I'm so glad that I'm just now remembering off of this, because this is gonna make me rant for a little bit, okay? So I fucking can't believe that Shinra is so fucking petty. So fucking petty as fuck to actually take out an entire sector. An entire fucking sector just to get back at Avalanche. Like, what the fuck? Like, holy shit. Like, you actually were willing to sacrifice your own people just to get back a couple people that have done your quote-unquote terrorism acts, even though you have no room to speak. God damn. Like, no, you motherfuckers are too dangerous. I can't. I hate you. I have never seen a company, or just at least a government established place of Midgar that's like Shinra taking over Midgar and then the entire sector plates. I've never encountered a fucking organization that way that's been so fucking petty. I think this is like the most pettiest I've ever seen ever in my gaming history or with my other games. It's just wow, fucking wow. I hope you are okay with labeling yourselves as murderers. I mean y'all are fucking murderers to begin with though, but holy fuck, holy shit, an entire fucking sector plate. What is wrong with you?
So I've been saving this for this podcast. They get pettier. You find out in another game that's like, it's older, that Avalanche is a part of Shinra. Like, the overarching part of Avalanche is part of Shinra, and they use Avalanche to find people that are trying to fight against them and basically snuff them out.
It's so dangerous of how the profit of war can actually do for companies, for government agencies. It's so scary, because even though they're all like, to the public side, and even when they tell them to their face, they're just like, oh yeah, like, we gotta take you into custody, or we gotta actually fucking like do this shit. Obviously I hate to say this though, but they play it so fucking smart. It angers me. It actually angers me how smart, because they know damn well they cannot take them alive or like, you know, hunt them down for their death warrants or to bring them to quote unquote justice. But oh my god, it's just, their pettiness doesn't fucking end. And I'm just so surprised that nobody in the sector plates of Midgar questioned that shit. Especially for like the world events of what they encounter for the terrorism attacks and for like the monsters that are like roaming around, or like, you know, potential enemy threats. Wow, they're so fucking petty. I hate Shinra. I fucking hate them.
What, you have a problem with like Absu living in the sewers, or like Monster House? You don't like Monster House? Shinra gave us Monster House.
Yes, I hate everything. It's just like, okay, like I said, I had to commend them, the fact that they're fucking smart, but oh my god, I hate how smart they are. It actually pisses me off. It's like, normally, like I said, I'm still willing to give the compliment for it though, but I just never felt this type of way. It's like, you're so smart as to what you're doing. You're like basically I guess you could say the necessary, like, low-key evil, but fuck, you do it so well, and I hate that you're making me feel this type of way to compliment you, but hate you at the same time. I've never have felt that way about anything in a video game like that in a long, long time. Maybe the one exception I could say would be for Goro Akechi for Persona 5 Royal, to be specific, but that's it. That's the only thing that I'm going to briefly mention. But for Shinra, that's a whole nother fucking story and a whole nother fucking another level. Oh god. And
I think the worst part is like so many of them are like cartoon villains. I think the only one that knows what they're doing is like Reeves and like the president. Like that's it. Everyone else is a cartoon villain. Like how are you getting away with this?
I don't understand. And you know what? There's actually a character that I do want to talk about. But I'm not gonna talk about that for 7 because he's actually dived a little bit more into actually in Advent Children. He's been receiving a lot of attention from me. So that's the only character I'm going to exclude for right now, but you'll know who I'm talking about when I bring him up for the Advent Children part. So, but it's Shinra related though. But that's all I'm gonna say about fucking Shinra as to how well they're good with their execution for weaving things out. Because even though in a way, not only it's also benefited them, it's also benefited Avalanche, whether they want to agree with it or not. It kind of has. So, that being said, I'm glad that I got my rant out there. I'm gonna go back with the characters. I'm gonna go back to the characters. I'm normally not the type of person to just go off of the story though, but I'm just glad that my phone just gave me that reminder. Now, I'm done talking about Tifa. This character I want to talk about specifically, Barrett.
Yes, sir.
Barrett is actually so fucking good. He's actually being talked a little bit more of for the my Final Fantasy VII Remake podcast. But for the way of how he was executed for 7, he just makes everything. Not only like he makes shit so fucking funny, it's just he's written so well, especially for his care for Marlene. And basically to what, like, the reason as to why he's having this issues with Shinra, the complaints about it, like I feel like he just feels so like real. Because I don't know if it's because I've encountered people like him before in my life, but it's the fact that like I have so much respect for Barrett. I've actually heard a lot of controversies with Barrett, because a lot of people, for some reason, they kind of feel iffy with him. I can't understand as to why that they do, but it's just like the way of how I look at it. It's like, okay, yes, he kind of could jump into the gun a little bit sometimes here and there though, but it's like, you know, he at least knows as to like when to keep his cool level head, because it's all about like what the mission is as to what their goal is as Avalanche. So, and especially to like, you know, and again, he has a fucking heart. He has a fucking great fucking heart. I mean, again, if you don't fucking believe that, because apparently I've been seeing comments that Barrett could be a bit heartless. I'm just like, I don't want to hear that, especially the way how he treats Marlene. Yeah, I've actually heard that a lot, and I thought it was like for a remake. No, the original. How?
Yeah, I don't see it. Like, I'll admit he's super goal driven, right? At the end of the day, we gotta save the plan. We gotta do what we gotta do. But like, he always has these moments with the team when talking about Marlene, where you see like the duality of him. That's his big thing, right? He's very black and white. And throughout the game, you see him grow, and you see that ideology like change. But it's always there though. It's always in him, you know?
Mm-hmm. So, and I just sit here and I'm just, it just baffles me, because again, like I said, I played the game to the beginning to the end, and I just can't see that type of character off of Barrett that way, when it's like, you know, no, he has every right and justification to feel the way that he does, and the reason why he does it is like, hell, some people would be ballsy enough as him to take the leap that he does. He carries as well. He does his own dirty work, and I respect that. So,
stand the king.
Yes, he's definitely fucking king. Another thing that I want to bring up with Barrett that I'm glad that they expand a little bit more about this, because there's actually more to Barrett than just that though. But like, again, another spoiler part of this though, but when his friend actually turned out to be alive.
Oh man.
That was a huge shock to me, because I always, like, I wondered as to why he only has, like, the gun arm. Like, you know, because obviously, like, it already told me that, like, he lost his arm, though. But I did not expect it to be in a way where it was gonna fuck with Barrett in the head that way. That threw me off guard. I thought it was gonna be like one of those generic, like, yeah, went through some trauma, stuff like that. It was a very, very horrible accident. No, it was way deeper than that. And seeing the friend that he presumably thought that he was dead at opposite ends with each other as well. A life and death situation like that. Oh god, that was just too painful to even look at. I can't fathom. And that Fred, I feel bad. Like, it's just like, I feel bad, but I understand as to why he's acting the way that he does. But fucking hell, I just wished inside of me, like, it didn't have to be like this. It really, truly did not have to be like this when they found him, but fuck, man. No, it was already too late as it was. There was no point of return for that. It broke my heart, seriously, and it just made me, and that, I believe at that key point factor as well, it only shows the fact of, like, how much, like, Barrett truly has, like, some type of, like, character, weight to him as well, with his association with not just only with the team, but, like, outside of basically what happened to him personally, which it was that friend right there. I forgot his name, but,
Dine,
there you go, yes. That was his name, and to see that he also had a gun arm as well.
Yeah,
what?
The other arm.
The other fucking arm, and I didn't think he was about to take that route. And it's funny because, like, when they built that up to that moment, you know, when they were like rumors or like people scouting out, like, oh yeah, like this guy with another arm that has a gun arm and shit, you know, like when I saw that, I'm like, there's no way it was Barrett. There's no way, because obviously there were shadows casted onto Barrett that he was the one that was committing the crimes. But then they gave a little bit more of a description, and I'm just like, oh fuck no. And I knew right there, I'm like, this is gonna be horrible. This is not going to end well. And when I saw that, when I dove into the story like that, I lost it there. I think at that moment, like, I actually, like, was truly driven to the game that way. Like, I already was originally that way, but when I saw that, I'm like, no, you cannot be doing this. He's already been so much with what's happening with Avalanche and with Shinra and shit, and for that to just randomly pop up, Dime comes back, and they're fighting to the death with each other for... Oh god, that upset me so much. I cried. I fucking cried. I'm just like, that is so fucking, that fucks with his head. And I don't see much discussions about that. I'm like, why is nobody talking about this, of how Barry is able to, like, still keep it together when he's been through so much already, as to, like, the stuff that he's also lost. And for him, it came back to him. It bit him back in the ass so bad. That was, oh god, that's just the worst luck ever.
And, you know, in a way, like, it never really left him, because he's raising Marlene. He's always got that, like, weight with him.
It's always with him no matter where he's at.
But he does his best no matter what, 'cause that's the kind of man he is.
Yep, and that's why, like, I'm tired of this Barrett slander. I'm actually tired of that. I'm like, why? Why Barrett of all people in the team? Like, he's not... Like, okay, if you want to say that he's annoying, then fine, but I'm sorry. But for everything that was just brought up from the beginning, and to that point specifically, it's like, I don't want to hear anyone talking shit about him. No. Barrett haters, be gone.
Be gone.
Be gone. I'm tired of you. So, I think that's my only comments I just have to say about Barrett, though. But, oh my god, I just love him so much. But again, like, even though, like, I'm gonna be talking about a lot of my love for these characters, it's just the fact that, like, they actually make them so well written. Like, even if I disagree with the character's action, it's like, you can't really think otherwise as to how this is, like, quote unquote, questionably written at its best. It feels alive with these characters. For a Polygon game like that, I'm just, wow, okay. Alright, Square Enix, go off. But
they do a lot with a little bit, man.
They really do. They really did. I'm surprised at how they were able to cram that all together, though. But you know what? Props to them that they made that work.
Man, if I can hit you with some facts right now, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Crazy. So originally, the Square was a part of like Nintendo, right? and there was like
I
a
remember
demo
that,
for
yeah.
this game originally. Yeah, it was a different game entirely. But like, if they were gonna try and put this on like Nintendo cartridges back then, there'd been at least like 64 cartridges.
Oh,
The
shit.
tech wasn't able to hold up. So then eventually, when they made their own company and went to Sony and all that, they were able to fit it all on 3 discs. 3 discs equaled 64 cartridges. That was insane for the times.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, if you tried to convert all of 7 to Nintendo cartridges back then, it's like 64 of them.
That actually would be a nightmare, especially
That'd
how
be
limited we were
horrible.
back then. Yeah.
That'd be horrible.
That's so impressive. God damn. Okay, well, thank goodness nobody had to go through those times and they actually went through it. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
But wow, I actually did not know. That's very interesting.
I spent a lot of time going back to interviews and watching like videos, like doing my homework on the entire series again and re-going through games, and it's a lot. There's a lot people don't know and like haven't read into. I'm gonna drop a couple as we go through here, but I'm very, very curious to hear what you have to say about the next character on the list.
Okay, so the next one that I want to talk about definitely is Aerith.
Yup.
So, Aerith. Alright, so I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot of impressions that I was giving off of Aerith, not just only with Kingdom Hearts though, but for the general public. And she was somewhat, like, I'm trying to disclude this as much as possible though, but there was a lot of, like, questions towards to, like, which one is the better female character, which I try to avoid that debate a lot because that's not something that I like to do personally. But I see the reason why that there were some pointers that were brought up to my attention. Surprisingly, I did not get spoiled throughout that time. But, you know, there was always competition between Tifa and Aerith. And there was always these pointers between of, like, you know, why Tifa is the better character or why Aerith is the better character and such. And obviously, like, you know, I was not going to get into that mindset to when I get into this game. I was just more interested as to, like, the pointers of how Aerith has that Tifa doesn't have. Why is that so significant for that? And it kind of painted me on a very, I wouldn't say a bad light, but it was a very interesting light of Aerith. But, like, obviously, like, I still came in with this game with an open mind. So I at least got the idea of just, like, what I expect. So now that I dived into this game, Aerith, I'm actually surprised. I think, obviously, you know, there's still a lot of love for Aerith specifically. However, I don't think, at least from my personal opinion, I don't think there's a good majority that actually has, like, the better understanding of Aerith. Even though, like, again, she's still well received. Do not misunderstand me that, though. But as to, like, what her purpose was for this game, it served a lot more weight than what a lot of people actually, like, play it off as. So, and when I say that, it's just the fact that, like, you know, a lot of people say that, like, she's somewhat, like, of a special snowflake because that she's an ancient and such. So I'm just like, well, here's the reasoning to that. It's because that she's an ancient. Not only that, like, basically, like, the ancients are nearly extinct, though, but it's the weight that she's carrying as an ancient and how it actually plays off as to a heavy role into the world of Final Fantasy VII. I don't think a lot of people, like I said, as far as the arguments of, like, you know, as to what she's depicted off of as to a brief, it's just like, even as a brief that way, it's like there's actually a lot more to Aerith than, like, what people actually just say to that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, and of course, I definitely had that reminder of that again to when I went into the world of Crisis Core, specifically. But for 7, I don't know if it was just fate, but it's like, for me personally, I was just so happy that she was in my fucking party. That she was actually, like, a heavy, not somebody that we just, like, found randomly on the streets like Yuffie, for example, because encountering Aerith like that was just odd, weird luck. but it's like, it just felt like it was fated. Like, everything just lined up with the pieces together for it. So, and I just appreciate the fact of, like, she didn't feel that way to how it started. Like, she actually played a heavy role into it, of how, like, she helped out Avalanche and such, and, like, how everyone's, like, all together into this Sephiroth mess. So, and, like, I see, like, I see some people say that she could be a little bit pushy and stuff like that, which okay, look, I will say, like, the most thing that I will say about Aerith is that she's very inviting and such, but, like, I understand as to why that she acts the way that she does, and it's like, do not do the girl injustice, because she deserves a lot more than that, especially to, like, the great way, like, what she did at the end of her role of Final Fantasy VII is just so fucking great. It's like, if Aerith was not around, y'all would be fucked. I don't want to be hearing this Aerith slander. I'm sorry. Y'all would be fucked. I do not want to hear anyone talking mad shit. Well, not, like I said, not the fact that anyone was talking shit about her, though, but it's just like, I feel like nobody actually talks about the role as to how she actually carries into Final Fantasy VII. Because a lot of people, like, again, her character, yes, important. But what she did, what she carried and such, it's like, you guys were lucky. The fact of how she was as a character, that she was able to help out. Rather, because she could have fucked everything up. She has that fucking power and it's scary. But she did not. And I respect that.
If I may jump in real quick.
Go ahead.
Something I know I am not a fan of, and a couple other people in the community, is like a lot of portrayals of Aerith, right? You look at her in Kingdom Hearts, for example, and again, Kingdom Hearts waters down everybody, but she doesn't necessarily act like Aerith. Even Advent Children, it's kind of tweaked how Aerith acts. Here, yeah, she's like a nice person, and her being ancient, etc., plays kind of a role. She can read people easier. So when Cloud is doing his, like, I'm a macho man, I'm a soldier, I'm an ex-soldier attitude, she's like, all right, dude, whatever, and gives him a hard time. But it comes from a good spot. She understands people. She's down to earth and a fun person and can crack jokes, and just like, her character as a whole is just solid, right? And they even show that with like gameplay, because no one else in the party is a dedicated like healer, but Aerith literally is the white mage. No one else has a role like that. Anyone in Final Fantasy VII can have any role. You just give them their materia. Aerith specifically has like all white mage stuff. She's a healer. She's a supporter. She's there for Tifa when she needs her. She's there for Barret and Cloud when they need her. She's, it's like integral to her character.
And I just love the fact of how she was able to like have that type of good wavelength with the party. It felt like the most unique I've ever felt for someone entering in like that in a very long time. And I just love that. Like, again, it started out with just between her and then Cloud, and then after that, how the whole mess came in, slowly introduced to Tifa, and then to how everyone acted as the whole entire group and such. Like, she has she knows, and the fact that like she understands her role as well. Like she did not run. She just wanted to come along with Cloud, though. But again, there was a lot more to it than how it was originally, and it's frightening because, like I said, like it's very frightening as to how much power that Aerith actually holds as the Ancient. So, but yeah, no, but I just wanted to specifically enforce that idea, is the fact that like I get her character is talked about a lot though, but not as to how much of the way that actually carries along with her role itself. Because, I mean, again, you could say anything about like with the gang were able to defeat Sephiroth and such though, but like, don't forget about the meteor. Do not forget about the meteor, man. I feel like a lot of people forget about that meteor because nobody talks about that, because it's like, they did that shit. And of course, everyone was under the impression, if we defeat Sephiroth, the meteor should not happen. It should be gone.
Right.
But no, it doesn't matter. Y'all were about to meet your doom fucking fate. And that's why Aerith knew. She already knew that shit from the get-go. So, And the fact that, like, she still fucking came through even in death. Even in fucking death.
Oh, so we're just putting it out there?
Oh, yeah, no, it's no secret at this point.
I mean, yeah, it's been mean to death. Yeah, everyone knows Aerith dies.
So, but I'm just saying that as of right now is the fact that, like, you know, she's great and all, but just don't completely dismiss as to why she's actually, like, what actually made her so great of that, which that's why, like, you know, I'm low-key, I'm a little bit tired of this whole female debate game, because again, like, every character, even with taking that out of the equation, every character is good in their own way regardless, you know, and they all serve their own purpose that actually came well together as complementary. It's not the fact that, like, and this is the flaw that I see what everybody does in most video games, which in a way I could see that to some degree, but for Final Fantasy VII's case, it's different because every character has their own respectively. There's no such thing as this character could overtake this other guy's role in one way, shape, or form. Except with, I guess you could say, one purpose that happened was between the fucking issue with President Shinra and Rufus Shinra. But that's another story. But other than that, they all serve their own fucking purpose. And I loved it. That's the thing. It's like, I loved how unique it was. It's like, everyone in this story is needed. And I love that because there's no such thing as like this, he has a bigger weight than you. No, it never was like that. They all had to come together, combine the forces and such, or even be at each other's throat when they're at odds, you know? And that's what I love is the fact that they, like I said, for a fucking game like that, it made me, I got tensed up so much as to what was happening in the story. It's like, oh my god, how in the fuck are they gonna get out of this situation like that? How in the fuck are they actually gonna prevail through this? Because I was sitting here because I'm just like, I can't think, because usually I like to be the guy that likes to think about how they can get out of it though, but in this game I had to question that shit so fucking much. It's like, the fact that I had to question this so much, it's like, holy shit, like, it's actually even difficult to come up with a solution like that, that's what I'm saying. All characters are needed, good and bad, and the moral gray area characters. So, but now that I said that, we can move on to the next one, which basically in the group, I will say it's pretty much, for the main ones, I will say it's the final one for the main one would be Cloud Strife. So, Cloud. Like I said, I just want to make this note out here one more time. Why the fuck was he butchered in Kingdom Hearts? Why? Why?
Couldn't tell you. Got no clue.
Honestly, I'm gonna say this as of right now. I feel like if these characters were not butchered in a way as to how they actually were in their actual respective games, I feel like it would actually give people more of the incentive to play the Final Fantasy games, because as far as I see it, like, it did get people to the Final Fantasy series through Kingdom Hearts though, but of course a lot of people that I see on Twitter goes into with the wrong mindset. Like, oh, why is he not like this for Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that, when it's like, remember, the Final Fantasy series was created before Kingdom Hearts was. Like, you can't just treat it the same way, treat it the different way that you expected for Kingdom Hearts, because that's how you were introduced to it first, rather than as to actually how they are into Final Fantasy VII. That's not how it works. So, and again, like, that's, and you know, it was kind of even clear in Kingdom Hearts. At least they made this part clear. It's like they had their own story going on. But it's like, you know, even with their cameos, it's like, I'm sorry, but it's like, you know, it's just the fact that, like, because of that flaw, it gets into the people that you should expect to, like, a little bit more of a dived in, more serious Kingdom Hearts version of Final Fantasy VII, when it's nothing in comparison like that. Which I hope that misconception is now cleared up with 7 Remake, at least to my impression it is. But sometimes it just doesn't happen, which unfortunately I do see that. And sometimes even as of recently, I've had a conversation about that with a few people that are just only Kingdom Hearts fans, but they hardly know anything about the Final Fantasy. I'm just like, okay, well, let me tell you something. Like, you know, even if I did not play Final Fantasy VII at its core though, it's like, you had to remember, it's like you kind of have to do your research. Try not to spoil yourself, obviously, but it's like, you know, again, Final Fantasy has existed before the Kingdom Hearts series, so there are some things that that doesn't exactly meets the eye clearly, which is like, again, the best way you're going to do that is you actually play the game yourself, and you dive into that open mindset rather than what you actually know as the Kingdom Hearts, because again, through the filler stories that they incorporated, it was just only filler. But it's just unfortunate as to how butchered it was that people have a hard time ignoring or dismissing the fact that like they have to expect that out of them in the Final Fantasy series when it's not like that. That is another whole new level in the story, like right there. So
you think they're bad? I can't wait for you to play 10 and see they did Yuna in Reaping and Pain.
Oh no! Oh lord. When I play that, because I actually want to have that in my backlog though, but when I do, oh my god.
That one's gonna get you like all twisted up. Oh my goodness, if you ever go through 8 to see how Squall really is. Oh.
I've heard a lot of comments about that. Oh no.
Oh boy.
So, but yeah, no, but for Cloud Strife, so I was told this before, so I kind of expected it in a way. I think this was like the only spoiling story point that I got told on, because it kind of just happened to when I played Persona 5 Royal. But I pretty much got the reminder of basically the whole Kasumi Yoshizawa moment. Now, if you don't know anything about that, I suggest you kind of skip a little bit further ahead of the podcast. What I mean by that, because I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth about this in the version of Cloud Strife. So, that being said, I just love the fact that, like, I think, like, this is, like, probably, like, the most written character that has basically, like, you know, again, the theme, one of the themes is everything you thought that you knew was a lie. It was applied to that heavily into Cloud, but the way of how it was incorporated that way was not in the way that I have ever expected, especially to, like, the other concepts that I was introduced to in Persona 5 and other series that I've played or have watched before. So what I loved about Cloud specifically is the fact that when he actually like awakens to what his true story is, his actual backstory and how he is, and when I actually got the real Cloud Strife, it still feels unique from the start before he came to the realization of his own identity. Like, you know, a lot of people were saying that, like, no, this isn't how Cloud Strife is, not only just from the Kingdom Hearts series, but, like, you know, he's not this edgy character and stuff like that from point A to B to C of the story and such. And now I understand as to why that conversation is being made, which, again, what I like about it is the fact that, like, even when he doesn't awaken his true self, like, he's not completely changed in. It's just like, now this is the actual true Cloud and such, and it actually feels like, you know, he's alive. Because in the beginning of the game, it's like, obviously, like, yeah, there are some questions about Cloud. It's like, how the fuck is he this way and stuff like that. But then, like, when we got to that, like, it just feels like now he's awakened. It's just the fact that, like, now this is the actual true Cloud Strife and such. It's like, even though, like, in a way it was a lie for his backstory and stuff like that, though, the personality traits, it was just carried, not completely changed, but, like, it was just in a way the fact that, like, it's him, he's accepted that, and now he's ready to go in with the final battle with Sephiroth, and I just appreciated that so much. It's like, that was not what I expected. I just expected for a character to just completely change it, and a character to completely change, but what it feels like here is that he's picking up from where he left off, and I love that. I love that about with Cloud Strife specifically. So, I will say there was a couple cursed moments where he was actually being optimistic and cheerful. It's like, oh, okay, well.
I mean, since we're talking spoilers,
yeah,
technically, he still has the mind of like a 16-year-old, 17-year-old.
Yeah, that's true.
So his disposition like makes sense after he like snaps out of it. He's like, all right, let's mosey.
And that's just, yeah.
It's fun, but like I feel like this is such a unique way to tell a character story, because you play disc 1 and like most of disc 2, and you have this pretty good idea of who Cloud is. He's cold sometimes, he's cool most of the time, but he's got his own like style of doing things. And then you find out like his backstory, which oh my god, it's so good. Even just like 7 alone, it's really tight. It's solid. You know, the Mako poisoning, the stuff with Zack, him looking up to Sephiroth and kind of just like having this moment where his brain doped up on Mako is just like, I'm gonna combine Zack, the stuff Zack told me, and I barely remember from that, to how I think Sephiroth is, and that's just gonna be me. It's really interesting and really crazy.
Yeah. Especially to like how it warped up to Cloud eventually. Like I didn't think like it would actually fuck with him into the end that way. To when we were getting to the end of Disc 2, but it's just like, whoa, holy shit. I'm just saying, this game is very ballsy, extremely ballsy with that, and I had to respect that, and I just love that. It's good writing, because again, it just feels like, again, obviously it's called Final Fantasy, but it does feel real to what it says at its core, to what is presented to us, and I had to appreciate that so much to it. And yeah, no, it's just the fact that like his social cues and such, and it's like how he talks with other characters and such. It's like, I can't like really say, because I've seen a little bit of a couple debates about this though, but I feel like he has a really great character development without the hindrances of like, you know, of what his actual true like self is, you know, even from the start. Like, I just feel like when he was able to like get back his shit together, it was a leap for him, rather than just like, okay, he has to go back from square one, and they make a little, just a small character development to make up for the end. It did not feel like that in any way, sense, or at all, actually, period. It was consistent, and it had that leap forward to it, and again, it just had that interesting twist to Cloud, that it just doesn't feel like it was just randomly inserted in, you know? Like, it was never like true, like, or false of Cloud in general. So, but I will say the fact that like, because of that, it really gave me like that right there was the reason why I got so curious with what am I going to be presented with Advent Children? What am I going to be presented with Crisis Core? And who the fuck is Zack? Because that character was gassed up for me for so long. And again, we have another discussion about that to when we actually get there. But it just gave me more. I'm just glad because they, like I said, they get the briefs, they can do that, but they have their own interesting ways of expanding that to making the Final Fantasy VII background bigger than how it already is with those just simple 3 discs. It's fucking impressive. And it doesn't like feel like it's about to burst out the bubble. It just feels like it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, but in a very good way, to where like it's not about the bubble's not about a pop. It's still at that strong force field of itself that it still maintains its properties, and I love that. And like I said, I feel like Cloud's backstory with that hitting moment for him in Disc 2 was the big wake-up call to that. At least in my opinion, that is.
And that's valid. I mean, like, you said it earlier, like, they add on stuff to the story. And sometimes it feels like, all right, this is a bit of a stretch, but it still feels like right. You know, it still feels like, yeah, I can see this happening here. This still works here. Because, like, you didn't need Crisis Core to tell his story. You get the story of him and Zack in, like, Final Fantasy VII just fine. But when you add that in, it's like, wow, that just makes this better. When you get to, like, Vincent, you don't need to play, like, Dirge to get his story together. You just gotta play 7. But once you get it and you find out old stuff and new stuff, it's like, all right, this is really cool. This works.
Yeah, definitely. And I had to appreciate about that, like, because that's the one thing. It's the fact that, like, now that I played all this, I have a couple of concerns that I'm going to address at the end of this podcast. But, like I said, it's just the way it's been well executed thoroughly. So, but other than that, I feel like I will say this confidently. Cloud Strife is one of the most unique protagonists I've ever encountered in games in a long time. He feels very unique and is not your usual cliche type of protagonist. He just feels an actual, like, this is his actual own story, and he's not catering as to, like, what a regular protagonist standards are too. He just happens to be the main character, and that's what it feels like with Cloud Strife, and I just love that. So, that being said now, I want to talk about this next character. So, I want to go off with this character specifically before I go back to it, the squad real quick though. So let's talk about the biggest connection to Cloud Strife, Sephiroth.
All right. Look here, because I know we have two very different opinions about Sephiroth.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I know. Here we go.
All right, it's time, everybody. So, motherfucking Sephiroth, okay? Now, look, all I'm gonna say is, he's actually, for me at least, he's a very interesting antagonist.
So what you want to say? No, say it. Go ahead and say it. You said it before. Go ahead and say it.
Look, I don't know what you're talking about. Look, I don't know what you're talking about.
He's like his favorite antagonist. He's like one of his favorite characters, right? Go ahead and say it.
Okay, all right. Look. For the Final Fantasy series, I will say he's one of my favorites. Yes. Look.
Can't believe this.
I will say the one thing that that I do feel weird about with Sephiroth is his I really don't want to put it this way though, but it's the only best way that I could describe it, but his intriguing mommy issues.
I mean, everybody misses their mom, right?
Yeah. But the way he took it, god damn.
Yeah, he
didn't have
just
to do that.
It sounds really weird.
It's so weird, because I'm just like, okay, Sephiroth, you kind of need to have to calm down, though. But look, all I'm going to say is the fact that, like, you know, the built up towards that, because, like, look, how he was presented, like, you know, when we got to the flashback memories of Sephiroth, like, oh, yeah, this is what he fucking did at the... it was called the Shinra Mansion, correct?
Yeah, the Shinra Mansion in Nibelheim.
There you go. Okay. So... he gets like how it starts off. He gets questioned about, like, you know, of his backstory, just a little bit of, like, or if he has family or whatever. And he just had this strange laugh, and I'm just like, bitch, why the fuck are you laughing? What the fuck? So, and after that, like, it just kind of felt so off the fact that, like, now it was starting to get a little bit more built off to it, so on forward and so on forward. And then when they actually get inside to the mansion, like, you know, there was curiosity, because now, like, the questions that he was longing for, like, he didn't exactly, like, had these questions, like, run through his head all the time, but it always, like, it was in the back of his mind. And now that it was resurfaced to him in those books, well, as you saw in the game, he was surfing through those pages over and over all day and night. Not literally, though, but, you know,
he read
was
every book. Like, every book in that library, he read all of them without stopping.
Yeah. Even the times that people were just like, yo, Sephiroth, and he was just like, leave me the fuck alone, I'm reading. And it's like, oh, okay, damn, bitch. So, and then when he comes into that realization as to what he actually is, what actually happened, this man just goes insane. Like, whoa, okay, like, look, I'm sorry about what happened to your mother. I'm so sorry that you were done dirty and that you were, like, kept hidden away from this for the longest of time. I'm so sorry. But, like, why did you have to take it out into the entire world of that shit? Into, like, oh yes, this must be my vessel to the promised land. Like, damn, bitch.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of his backstory, for those of you at home that don't know and want to know, his mother, Genova, I'm sure you've heard him talk about her all the time, is a space alien calamity that came on the planet, that fell to the planet like 5,000 years ago, fought the Cetra and died. And Shinra, good old Shinra, trying to make a buck, put Genova cells from the alien into a baby, and now you got Sephiroth.
Yep.
And like, I feel like it's overlooked. Like, there's a lot that happens in these games, but everyone kind of forgets that Genova's just like an alien that kind of just like comes to Earth.
Yeah, and it's a scary fucking alien ass that could fucking cause a lot of bullshit.
For real, like, throughout the game, you like see quote unquote Sephiroth, but it's not even like it's him, but it's him projecting through like pieces of Genova that you're fighting. and like messing with you and stuff. It's so like creepy, but it's so like well done.
And that's my thing too. Like, I will say that, like, okay, like, obviously, I did expect Sephiroth was going to act some type of way about it, though. But I did not expect for him to take it out on the fucking world. At the very most, I was expecting for him to go after Shinra, meaning he would have almost a similar goal as Avalanche, that they want them to fall, especially to like what they're doing, not just, oh yeah, everyone's gonna fucking suffer because of what happened to me and to my mother. Like, okay, bitch.
Right? Like he kills everyone in Nibelheim, and it's like, bro, you're mad at the wrong people. I need you to fix that.
Yeah, like I don't know, dog. Like that was a bit much though. But I think like at that point, because I don't know if it's because of the fact that he's you know, his mom was a space calamity or whatever, you know. Like, I guess, like, it's because, like, he took it to that extent. It's like, oh, well, I mean, at the end of the day, these people are not gonna fucking matter. They're gonna, quote-unquote, return to the fucking planet or whatever. I don't know what was running through his head at that time. But just now mentioning that, it's like, okay, Sephiroth, look. Please.
Eat Snickers. You're not you when you're hungry.
Yeah, no. Like, that didn't, like, okay, like, I understand what goal you were trying to accomplish here, though, but they didn't have to die for your cause. Look, I will say that if you want to kill them, then by all means, like, nobody's gonna fucking miss them. Maybe the sectors until they fucking realize the truth, though, but still, come on. And the fact that, because he went from being this regular ass soldier into now being this fucking space calamity that just went doing fucking math summoning a fucking meteor. Like, okay, bitch.
You're talking about the boss fight.
Look, when he fucking did that shit, I'm like, why is he doing math and then summoning a fucking meteor as an attack?
So
what are you doing?
I looked it up because I felt like you were gonna bring this up. Basically, he does the calculations to move you to a different point in space-time to where the meteorite is coming and destroying all the planets, including the one you're on presently, for this attack. It's like weird space-time magic, but like it's so stupid, but it's so cool. Like anybody at home that has not seen him do, like, I forgot what it's called, but it's Sephiroth's like signature big move at the end of the game, please watch it. It is beautiful and it is hilariously cool.
Oh my god, what is he doing? That is so fucking extra, man.
Have you seen his hair or his sword? He is extra. It's Maybelline, okay?
Okay, like, all right, like, look, I can get, like, he's extra with everything, though, which I thought, like, that's how far I was gonna go. But you know what? You're right. I probably should have expected that the moment that he started going insane and for him to move the fucking... I'm tired of Sephiroth. Like, look, okay, don't get me wrong. I still love Sephiroth. Like, okay, I'm gonna say this right now. The biggest reason as to why I love Sephiroth is mostly because of his mannerisms and the way of, like, he's, like, even though he does go crazy, it doesn't feel like the generic type of, like, crazy character that I expected Goro Akechi from Persona 5. Anyways,
wow,
okay. It didn't feel like the generic type of, like, going type of crazy. It's just the way of how he is. It's like, okay, whoa, wait, you're actually kind of cool when you say this shit, you know? Not gonna lie, you kind of are. And the fact, I'm sorry, I think I might be gassing him a little bit too much when I say this part, though, but it's like, he has his own boss theme. He has his own theme song.
Oh god, One Winged Angel is so good.
It is, and I'm gonna say this right now. This is not gonna be the last time you're gonna be hearing One Winged Angel, because I'm gonna talk a lot about that a little bit later. You probably know where I'm gonna go off with this later. When, like, if for those of you that are in my server that are listening to this podcast that are not here right now, you're gonna know which one I'm gonna be talking about way later. But yeah. I'm gonna save that for right now. I'm gonna save that. So, but it's just the fact that, like, the theme actually complements with, like, Sephiroth's, like, cooled down, but yet the maniac motherfucker that he is. So, I will say the fact that, like, at least, like, he doesn't feel, like, okay, he is good, but there are some questionable faces that I look at Sephiroth with. It's like, okay, buddy, you honestly, you should have just helped Cloud and Avalanche and just took down fucking Shinra. That should have been the end of that. That should have been the end of that. But okay, go off, I guess. But yeah, but other than that, though, there's actually a lot more to talk about with Sephiroth, though. But again, for right now, for how 7 was presented, that's all I'm going to say before we actually get to the other parts of 7. Which, again, this won't be the last time. This definitely will not be the last time. But, I will say that the future deaths that I'm going to be talking about in this podcast with Sephiroth surprised me a lot. So, we'll save that. But that's all I'm going to say about for Sephiroth. Now I'm going to go back to other characters. That I'm kind of just like a little bit like I'm good with these characters, don't get me wrong though, but I probably have some more questions with them about that. So, going back to the main squad, I am going to talk about Sid next. So, Sid, actually, I did not know he actually came from Final Fantasy VII. Seeing him there was actually a genuine surprise. So when I saw him there, again, I'm gonna say this one more time. This butchering needs to stop. I'm tired of these butchering characters. This is actually stupid. Oh my lord. Anyways, so at first I thought he was an actual asshole as an old man. Well, even though he's not old, he does feel old sometimes, especially the way of how he talks and to like how he's like giving off as his character as though. But I will say that there is a lot more that actually meets the eye of Sid, that he has his own dreams and such. And I didn't think it was going to coincide with the squad like that, with what's going on with the whole Sephiroth situation, what's happening with Shinra. It's like everywhere, like where you go off, everything is like almost with the same page with everybody. It's actually kind of scary but cool at the same time.
It's all Shinra's fault.
Yeah, fuck Shinra for that shit. Fuck them. But I will say, like I said, this is one of the few benefits because we got people like Sid that joined in with us eventually in time. So, and you know, and I was so happy for him when he was able to fucking, I guess you could say he kind of did live his dream in a way. In a very interesting way, though, because at first of the first failure, that shit did not end well. And the fact that Shinra was about to fuck it up again, it's like, wow, they really just don't get that much of a fuck. They're assholes. Oh my god. But Sid, I always kept him. I will say that was the one character that kept him in my party at all times because he was just that cool for me. But I mean, at least I think Sid was like the only character that was like kind of cool to me from the start for the Kingdom Hearts series, though. But I'm just glad that like I still came in with an open mind of how Sid actually is in 7, and it's like, whoa, you were cool before, but you're cooler. You're cooler here. Nah, you go off, King. Go the fuck off. So, other than that, I actually don't have that much comments about with Sid specifically. So I'm just going to move on forward to Red 13.
The boy, the goat, the Naki.
I love Red 13. I thought okay, I'm not gonna lie to how he kind of came in. It was a little bit weird at first, but then
Hojo?
until the story, no, Red 13.
Yeah, because Hojo.
Yeah. Oh, right. It was a little bit odd, but then as the story developed, it's like, okay, never mind, it makes sense. It actually makes sense now. But it's, oh my lord, he definitely, I'm just glad like he was written and introduced the way that he was, because it actually felt like he had a very jump forward as to the leap of his growth as a character, especially to what happened to him, the family and stuff like that, as to why he joined in with the team and such. It's just, it's so fucking cool. He is so fucking cool. I feel like there's not that much talks about with Red 13 in depth. Almost the same treatment as to Aerith, in my opinion.
That's facts.
But he's just so fucking cool. I'm just here going like, you need more spotlight. You definitely deserve that spotlight. You just evolved from a prince to a king. You go off, man.
He's so good, and I feel like first of all, I love Cosmo Canyon. I love the music. I love the way it looks. I love Bugenhagen. I love everything about Cosmo Canyon.
Same.
I love the backstory you get of his family and then what happens to his father, Seto. It's so good. And then when you find out, first of all, that Red is like 16, it's hilarious. Because it's like, oh, that makes a lot more sense about why he acts like that. And then like you get the campfire with all the party members and everyone like talks about like how they're feeling, how they're doing. I love moments like that in games. And I love that like Red is like the driving focus of it. Because he's a kid. And it just makes everyone else open up about what's going on with them. It's so good.
I love that. And especially I had to give props to the old geezer that was there.
Yo, shout out my man Bugenhagen.
Yes, he was so fucking cool, and I'm just so glad he was able to help Red 13 like be the awakening to that. Basically, of like what actually went down, and and I'm just so glad that it only made Red 13 like want to like go out for his goals even more and to fulfill his duties as what he's supposed to do and help out the team as best as he could. And I just think that's so admirable that he had that resolve. I feel like that was like the true awakening for him at that moment. It was that wake-up call that he knew what had to be done. And I love that. I love that so much about him. So, no one do not disrespect him. No, I will not. I haven't seen the slander for him though, but I do not see enough praise for him at all. So that's all I'm going to say about with Red 13. Now this character, I do have a couple comments on actually. Kate Sith.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, Kate Sith. That one is a moral gray area character, which, so fun fact, I'm gonna say this right now. Since the world of Final Fantasy VII, they allow you to name these characters, and I named a character. I named Kate Sith to a friend of mine. That's like so cool, but I find out later of what the character actually served his purpose. I was like, oh, you fucking bitch.
I mean, he's still cool, and he does stuff in later games.
Yeah, like I will say he did make up for it though, but it's like what happens later, I'm just like, oh, you motherfucker. Why did you put me in that position? All right, okay, I see you. Okay. I will say that like, oh yeah, go ahead.
I just want to ask a quick question, like really quickly before you start.
What's up?
How did you feel when you found out that Kate Sith was actually Reeve piloting like a little like cat robot?
Okay. At first I had mixed opinions on it. I actually had a lot of mixed feelings about that. But I think that was the best candidate. Because I don't see anybody else in this genre or anywhere else involved from that side that would actually be the one to help them out. I was a little bit surprised off of that, especially to like what he was doing in the beginning, what his purpose was. And then just find out that he was behind this shit, it's like, wow, you took me by surprise. I will say that, like, it does put some type of questionings to it, though, but again, I'm going to give it the pass because at the end of the day, it did help us. So, he's okay in my book. I just would not trust him with my life, that's all I'm gonna say.
That's crazy.
That would not make sense. So that's all I was like, but that's what I was thinking. I was just like, that's the only candidate I could think of. Who else? And then when it was Reeve, I'm like, Reeve?
Yes, sir.
What the fuck?
They hint at it really early, actually.
They did? But like, because this fucking game was giving me that everything that you thought that you knew was a lie. That's why I was like, I had to fucking take those with a grain of salt. That's why I was like, But I mean, I still kept that in mind, but I was just sitting here, I was like, if it's Reeve, why? That was my only thing that I was like asking, but God, this game did a very good job with fucking with my head. It did a very good job of it, of like who was actually behind Kate Sith and why are they actually doing this? So, but I mean, at least, the cat was cute. Yeah.
The thing the cat was on top of was not, but the cat's cute.
Yeah, the cat's cute at least, so I'm gonna give him that, and he can actually fight from a far distance control, but oh god, and again, it's really scary how much control Shinra actually fucking has, which I guess, in a way, as much as that I would love for them to fall, I still think it should happen. I'm no cap, I still think it should fucking happen, but in a way they are a necessary evil in this. So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, but that's all I really have to say with, like, Kate Sith. Like I said, I would not trust him with everything, though, but I will give him the gratitude that at the end of the day, he was doing a really good job for everything else. So, now the next character that I think that's it for this. Oh, wait, actually, no, there's two more.
There's two more.
There's two more.
I mean, I understand why you forgot them, because if we didn't tell you, you wouldn't have found them.
Yeah.
I really can't wait for them to fix that in the remake, because my goodness, a lot of people probably overlook these two.
Yeah. So I'm going to mention this first character that I picked up on because at least he's somewhat memorable to me. Vincent. Vincent Valentine.
I'm gonna spit. I'm gonna start spitting. I'm gonna let you go, but I'm gonna start spitting.
All right, please do, actually, because I only know briefly of Vincent because I didn't dive in too much to his backstory, so I'll let you go off of that when it's time.
Oh right, yeah, because you were already going for Endgame.
Yes.
So Vincent Valentine is a man with a lot of depth and a lot of things hidden, right? You meet him in Nibelheim, and he's in a coffin because he's waiting to die. But first of all, relatable already.
That's crazy.
And he joins the squad, and you go through his backstory a little bit, and he originally was a Turk, and he was in love with this scientist named Lucrezia. And Lucrezia was dedicated to her job, which also happened to be working with Hojo. And Lucrezia liked Hojo a lot. And you find out later on that Hojo was the one that impregnated Lucrezia and then put the Genova cells in her. So Sephiroth does have a human mom, but he doesn't know that, and he doesn't care because all he knows is Genova.
Yep.
And that destroys Vincent. And then Vincent also gets experimented on by Hojo, and he gets turned into a monster. He's not even considered human anymore. He's a monster that can't die and that can transform into other monsters. And a really cool thing that you didn't get to see in 7 is you can go to a certain waterfall, and Lucrezia's ghost is there, and she talks to Vincent. And she, like, apologizes to him, and he apologizes to her, and she's like, save my son, make things right for my son. Like he knows he can't stop Sephiroth. Like, he can't save Sephiroth, but she wants him to kill him as a way to, like, save him so he can be at peace. And it's so good.
What the
It's
hell?
so good. And then, like, I didn't let you go through Dirge because Dirge isn't, like, you don't want to play it, but, like, I'll show you the cutscenes later. Vincent gets a lot. Vincent is a very cool and interesting character, so much so that, for you kids at home, they put Cloud in Vincent's clothes for Kingdom Hearts 1.
That was interesting.
I don't know why they did that, but go off. But yeah, Vincent's very much like a tragic yet interesting character. A man who's no longer a man that, like, kind of like Barrett, has to live with his past forever. A lot of characters have to kind of like live with their past. It just literally makes a monster out of Vincent. Heyo.
And he can't just die. He can't.
Yeah, he has to. He lives forever. He's eternal.
Yeah. And that's just so fun because it's just like, you know, he really wants to die now after all that. But I mean, at least he did come into the fact that, like, he should settle things and, like, have that resolve, which that's incredibly great, though. But holy shit, he was just, like, kind of debating back and forth about that when we got him. And I was just like, all right, come on, you with us or not? But I did not know about the whole waterfall thing. Obviously, I did not, though. But, like, now that you mentioned that, it's like, oh, wow, he got done dirty so bad. I feel so sorry for it. Fuck Hojo, man.
Honestly, it's not even the fact that, like, he loved Lucrezia and she loved someone else. It's the fact that it was Hojo. Bro, It's Hojo. He looks like a rat.
He
acts
really
like a rat.
does. I don't know how he... I just don't know how he was able to get away from a lot of things where he was cornered. so many times, and I'm just like, how in the hell does he get up? Like, no, at this point, kill him.
I'm saying, he's a slippery eel.
Lord, I'm getting tired of his ass, like, getting away with this shit. Like, no, y'all let him, like, slip up too much. That was, like, my one thing I will say about this game that I'm just like, all right, y'all, like, I will understand with Shinya, it's hard. But Hojo, of all people, you guys let him get away with this shit for so long because of what's happening to y'all. No, I'm sorry. No, I don't want to hear no excuses. Y'all, Lord, y'all upset me.
Y'all upset me.
Y'all upset me so much. I'm just like, he's right there. You can go at it with him. This is the perfect opportunity. What are you doing?
Just letting him chill in Casa del Sol for reasons, I guess.
Yeah, when I saw that, I'm just like, right there. He is right. And oh my Lord. Now that you brought that up, I'm so curious of how that's going to be picked off in the remake. I am so curious of how that's going to happen. It's like, okay, how about, this is basically a remake. How about you kill him? Please. I'm tired of Hojo, man.
The only reason I can see why they didn't kill him there was because, like, then it tipped them off that, like, they snuck aboard the ship and have to fight, like, a ship full of, like, Shinra soldiers, I guess. Right. I still say they could, like, drag them away and murk them, but, like,
well, that's true. It's just there were so many opportunities back in Midgar and over at the fucking beach and shit. And later into the end game, I'm just like, you all had many opportunities and y'all are fucking crazy. I'm tired of all of you. I'm tired of all of you for this shit. That is the one thing I'm disappointed in everybody on that shit. Like, no. I really hope that remake, that if they took this opportunity, I will say that, like, yes, for right now, he needs to be alive for what's happening in remake, because obviously, like, a lot of things are, like, being crammed into part 1, and then they're gonna have the parts of it other later. But eventually, maybe, they can just revise the story, just at least the one crucial story point where, I don't know, he dies. He's a threat. Look, the way of how I see it, he is not a unnecessary evil. He is a fucking catalyst for all these other fucking issues, and he don't give a fuck. He don't care. I'm sorry, like, no, he definitely has to go. But other than that, though, like, I'm sorry. Get him out. Get him out of this game. Get him out of everywhere. I'm tired. I'm so tired of seeing his ass.
Personally, I'd like to see him eaten, like, by one of his own monsters he makes. I feel like that'd be fun.
That would be satisfying. I would like that. And that's why it's like, you know, again, because I feel like because, like, he did all this shit, it would actually be another, like, a true justice for the squad that way, especially for Vincent, you know? Like, yeah. It's not just all about Sephiroth. There are other motherfuckers in the goddamn story. Hojo, come on. So, but yeah, no, but even though I unintentionally went off about Hojo, I will say that is the one thing that I feel like I would hope Vincent gets his justice. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, he kind of does, but I feel like it wasn't exactly, well, divulged into that thoroughly. So,
you'll see in Dirge. You'll see in Dirge.
Okay, all right. I'll definitely see that then. But other than that, Vincent Valentine, very fucking cool character with a very, very interesting, deep-ass voice.
Very.
Yeah. Very deep.
So the last person, did you do the side story for him? For Yuffie?
I unintentionally did, actually.
Unintentionally, okay, alright.
Unintentionally, because I was trying to find out where I was supposed to go, and then I was like, wait, am I supposed to go out to a different place I haven't been to yet? And then that's when Yuffie's story started, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
I like it, though. I like Yuffie and Wu-Tai. Wu-Tai's story is, like, very, like, sad, yet realistic, right?
Okay, so, like, alright. I'm gonna be completely honest. I think Yuffie was the only character among with the squad that I did not like. But I will say that, like, after they did divulge into her story, I'm kind of glad I didn't now. Because I can, like, see why she's that way and why she's basically labeled as the way that she is.
Yeah,
but I will say that, like, for me, it's just not too notable for me. Well, I wouldn't say not notable, but like, at least, like, it was nice for the time being. But like, it's I don't know. I'm just indifferent about Yuffie. Like, but I wouldn't say that like she's bad. If I were not to divulge into her story, I will say that like I have a hard time. I don't hate her, but I have a hard time caring about her. But after for doing that story, I will say that there is some type of character that I will like about Yuffie, but I don't see it as like anything significant. At least that's how I'm seeing it.
Okay. Maybe, all right. I'm gonna break it down for the people at home and tell me how you feel afterwards, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So Yuffie's story is, she's a thief that you meet in the woods, and she steals all your materia, and you are very angry about that, because you worked hard to get that materia. And then you run into her again, you get it back, and she joins your party. And throughout the game, it's like, Yuffie starts trying to steal stuff, Yuffie starts trying to make money, like, what's the deal? Eventually, you go to Wutai, and Wutai's been mentioned before. They had a war with Shinra, and they lost. So Yuffie's dad, the leader of Wutai, turned it into like a tourist attraction because, like in the real world, when you lose wars cost money. And Wutai got like blamed as like the perpetrator, so they needed to make money. And she always hated her dad for that. So her deal is trying to, steal money to like avenge the glory of Wutai. And his deal is, my people have been suffering. We need to make money. I'll sacrifice my pride as the leader and turn our home into a tourist attraction so we can rebuild. And her whole like side story where you get her limit break is like her confronting her dad about it, him telling her why she did it, or he did it, and them like coming to terms with each other and like rekindling their relationship. The same way like with Red, it's about her growing up and realizing, not everything's so black and white. That her dad, just like Nanaki's dad, did this for a reason.
Right. So, and that was exactly as to why, like, I feel like more indifferent about it though, but at least like it's now painted as a better light now. I'm actually glad that I actually did her story. So, I will say that like, I wish she had a little bit more of the connection of the story, because I feel like it would, like, at least a little bit more heavily involved. Because it didn't feel that way to when I learned a little bit more about that. Which, I mean, I guess that, like, the way of how she's supposed to be served in 7, I guess it's just for the time being, like, is to feel just like she's there. But, like, there's something that you could go off with Yuffie, which I understand that, though. But it's because that, like, it's just because with that development as to, like, why it's this way, I feel like it would have been cooler to at least have her a little bit more heavily involved as to like what the current main events are and how this kind of ties in together as to her to having much more of a bigger result. Because with her, she's kind of just like, if I get material or whatever and shit, then I'm cool. Which I guess it makes sense though, but it's like, I wish there was a little bit more to it than that. That's just me.
No, that's valid. It's a catch-22 for a lot of people because like Vincent and Yuffie are optional party members and they feel optional. When they're in certain scenes, it's like, oh, that's nice, but like they don't feel like as integral as like Sid or like Barrett. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They feel like they are optional. They're nice to have though, but they still feel optional. It's one of those things I hope like gets mitigated eventually in remake.
Yes, definitely. So, but yeah, I think that's all I really have to say for like the main squad though. So with all the characters that I dived into, now for them as a whole, I'm going to say that if one of them is not in the picture, I am going to feel some type of different way about that because it just feels off to me. Like even what I just said about Yuffie, like I'm very indifferent about her. I'm gonna feel some type of way if she's just not there, because they're all like, because the fact that like the way of how they're all like squad up together, it's like holy shit. And especially like when they're like now finally at the end game to kick Sephiroth's ass, it's like, oh my god, like I actually have much more of a reason as to like they actually like work well together. And like even because like that's exactly what I wanted to emphasize this idea. It's the fact that like there is no such thing of like who's better than who. It's like they all have big burdens and weights on their shoulders, but they're all going to carry out whether it's going to be together or in their own ways, one way, shape, or another. They're all going to fucking carry that out to the fucking end, regardless if this ends well or not. And that's something that I can appreciate with with Final Fantasy VII. At least that's just me. So, but yeah. So, that being said, there is a story point that I kind of just want to talk about real quick. I actually just remembered this just now, going back to Tifa a little bit. Well, okay, not just Tifa, but like the one thing that I will say with with Final Fantasy VII in general. Holy plot armor, it is thick as steel. It's impressive as hell with these fucking life and death situations, man. And I will say the one like who got like the biggest of luck was definitely Tifa. When she was about to die, about to get fucking executed, and she starts having a fucking bitch slap battle against with this fucking whore. What was her name? Scarlet? Yeah, that bitch. Oh my god, that shit fucking sent my soul. Like, okay, with plot armor being said out there, like I said, I think that was like the most, like the biggest one that had like the most plot armor was definitely with Tifa. However, what I liked about with Final Fantasy VII is the fact that even though like there are moments where they were supposed to have the plot armor, it doesn't exactly feel like plot armor. Like it actually feels like genuine luck, like how you would get in real life in some situations, especially from like the begin of disc 1 and some parts of disc 2. Some parts though, but I will say like that fucking plot armor luck, that was definitely given to Tifa. Hands down. Holy shit. She was about to fall off, and then she just starts like... Honestly, when I was playing that part, and I'm kind of hoping for this in remake, though, but I'm just like, girl, you got the fish, you got the hands, trip this bitch, fucking go at it with her, fuck her! But, oh lord, I just love that part. It was just so funny. But like I said, there are other moments that like I can't exactly like think of on the top of my head because again, this game is so long and big. But it's just like the moments that like I can remember that I depicted off as that there were some like genuine lucks. The fact that it was just like, ooh, okay. It doesn't feel like, you know, they were given that plot armor just because that they have to like, you know, they have the story purpose. It just feels like, okay, yeah, no, they just survive out of luck, not just for story reasons or whatever. It's just like, oh shit, that was a close one. So,
the first one that comes to my mind is the when Cloud in the wheelchair and Tifa fall into like the Mako, like the live stream, and they don't die. And I was like, oh wow, okay.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's the one. That was the one I wanted to talk about. Holy shit! I thought they were gone. I thought that they were gone though, but magic again, fucking Mako energy. Okay, all right. Okay, that was another one. Other than that, I can't think of anything. I feel like there was one plot armor moment for Barrett, but I could be remembering wrong. I think that was just genuine luck.
Oh, with like in his flashback with Dyne, that was definitely luck.
That was definitely
luck. He
luck.
didn't fall.
Yeah. So, because he almost did. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was close.
So,
but there's one thing I'd like to bring up, and I want your genuine, honest opinion on.
Oh, what's up?
So, for the kids at home, because like I said earlier, I've been going through old interviews and stuff and rereading stuff. I want to see how you feel about this tidbit of information.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that the character that dies, the big character that dies, originally, Kitase, and I think it was Sakaguchi, wanted all of your party members to die except for Cloud and 2 of them that you go into Disc 3 with to fight Sephiroth. They want to kill all of them off. But it was Nomura's call to just kill off Aerith and not the entire party.
For the final battle, correct?
Yeah, just like in general.
In general?
Yeah, like you would have had like your party for like Disc 1, 2, and 3. And then when you go to dive into the crater with the parachutes, you're gonna just have them like gunned down and like killed or something. Except for Cloud, whoever you picked to go with him. Everyone was gonna die.
Okay. See, I I mean, if you want to call me out for the favoritism of the characters, then by all means. But I feel like if it were to happen all at once at that very specific moment, I just feel like it would just kind of be weird. If it was gradual, like a 1-by-1 death throughout the entire story, then maybe I could see that, depending on how they were trying to write this story. But if it just happened just all at once, before you go into that battle with Sephiroth, it would leave a very interesting bitter taste in my mouth. Especially, like I said, what I emphasized earlier is the fact that, like, all the characters have their own weight that has to be carried one way or another, because they all just happen to share the same goal. It wasn't exactly like, you know, something that was just started out from the beginning. It just became that way when everyone came to their own resolves that way. And they just happened to all, like, fucking tolerate with each other and actually like each other and such. And then guess what? They made a good fucking complementary team. But it would just be weird that way, especially with the writing, because it's like, how would you go off with that? Especially the fact that, like, you would want to kill everybody.
Exactly.
I don't understand that, at least with me. But like I said, if it was 1-by-1, that I feel like in a way it would give more of the favors to Sephiroth, actually.
Yeah.
So, especially if they were planning to write off the happy ending that Sephiroth has been defeated, the meteor has been, you know, it didn't fucking crash the goddamn planet the way it should have. But
is it a happy ending?
Okay, all right. I wouldn't say a complete happy ending. I wouldn't say a complete one. Listen.
Let me pull up my good old interview notes again.
Oh no.
So for those of you at home that have not seen the ending to Final Fantasy VII, after you beat Sephiroth and Holy Help in the live stream combined to stop the meteor, we get a flash forward 500 years, and Nanaki is with his two children running the plains, climbing the mountain, and, you know, standing over Midgar. And Midgar is overgrown with, like, trees and overgrowth, and, like, basically, like, life has returned to the world, right? And you hear children laughing in the background. Now, to me, that sounded like a pretty solid, like, ending, right? Like, that was good. Apparently, it was released, like, later on that outside of Vincent and Nanaki meeting up there every 100 years to, like, reminisce, because remember, Vincent's immortal and not human, there are no humans left on Gaia.
All right.
500 years in the future, there are no more humans left. They're all gone. It's just like it's just animals and monsters. So, like, is it a good ending? Beard scratch?
Okay, like I said, it's not. I will say they got the best ending that they could. It may have not been the best one, but, like, I don't want to put it that way, but it's like it could have been worse in a way, even though, like, it's almost nearly as the worst case scenario. But, you know, I will say the fact that, like, because of what their odds are and such, it's like, at least, like, the biggest threats are on, like, they're gone, though. It's just the unfortunate part is that they had to suffer a lot and lose a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say it's more of, like, the bittersweet ending, even though, like, as Zero mentioned, it painted off as a good one when it wasn't.
It's one of those things where it's like, in context, this is a good ending, right? Because, you know, everyone's happy, everyone lived. And it's like later on it's released that, like, technically it's not, but it's like, I don't imagine humans died off, like, right away. You know, I'm sure plenty of people, like, lived their lives before, like, we got to this point.
Yeah, and what we learn in Advent Children, But yes, so, oh yeah, I was gonna mention this, later, but, like, I kind of just want to talk about this now, especially the fact that, correct me if I'm wrong, though, but, like, the meteor was, like, I know, like, obviously it's a fucking meteor, though, but, like, it was obviously, like, the center point of it was going to Midgar, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just want to fucking say this real quick, but oh my god, who in their right mind? Like, look, any of y'all could fucking say it's pretty, it's nice, it looks good on paper, yes, but who in their fucking right mind thought it was a good idea to design Midgard like that? I'm sorry, but that is it. Not, I'm not saying it's tacky design wise, but it's like, you know, it's just the fact that, like, how in the hell, why would you design it like this only to give Shinra so much power? So, and when I say this, it's the fact that, like, cause, like, look, you have all the sector plates, right? And you have, like, you know, all the ones, like, under the city of Midgar. Like, but, like, the cities, the sectors, like, even though, like, it may not look like that, in the original game, though, but it's, like, it's actually a lot. So, and the thing is the fact that, like I said, like, this made me question this so much. It's like, for a layout like this, is just so questionable because they're not, like, obviously they're not living in, like, the times of basically of how it is in modern days of our society and how you would expect this if anybody was introduced in the Final Fantasy series through Final Fantasy 15 and so on forward. So I look at that and it's like they were able to fucking drop an entire fucking plate and kill off their fucking people. And it's not only just that though, but it's like every time that they have their demonic issues, like the demons, and again, enemies that could just fucking infiltrate and shit, it's like their security system, it has to be the worst ever in fucking history, man. Which, this makes me question because, like, I don't know if Shinra designed it that way on purpose just so that they could do, like, the dirty work as, like, you know, as we mentioned of how they did it in the first place, that some sacrifices are meant to be made. But holy fuck, I'm just here sitting, like, because I see the blind faith that people give to Shinra. It's like, y'all are not questioning of, like, how bad this is, like, how this fucking looks. Like, god damn, like, it's a sector that has a lot of complete control, which it would make sense that, like, some people would not, like, question of, like, how the city layout is. They think it's fine and such, though. But the fact that there are sectors, I feel like the fact that there are sector plates, that would be the first question in my mind. It's like, huh, why are we grouped like this? Why is this actually a thing? Huh. I'm just surprised that nobody in their minds questioned that. And especially it casted a lot of shadows that way. Like, everyone just kind of went with it without just, like, you know, giving it a thought in their mind. And especially to, like, when we browse around with Midgar and such, and when we hear the public's opinion and such, it's like, no one is questioning. Like, they're all just saying, like, oh my god, like, what happened and such. Like, and of course a lot of people are just like, oh my god, is that gonna happen to us next? And it's like, if you're saying that, can you, like, at least acknowledge that this city layout is not the best, and maybe, just maybe, it would be best to, I don't know, get the fuck out of there? Oh my god, I don't know. Cause, like, you know, it's just so bad, and that's the problem. It's the fact that, like, it gives on more power. Now, I am going to go a little bit more about this on another podcast, actually, but I just wanted to mention that quickly. The fact that, that city layout, like, look, like I said, it looks pretty. It really does, especially with, like, you know, with the Mako energy, the reactors and stuff like that, though, but it's like, nobody in their right minds questioned that shit. I'm genuinely astonished. So.
All right. So. I can interject on this a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
So like, the reason why people don't leave is because they kind of can't, right? Like, you can't afford to, like, just leave. Because you leave Midgar, you go right out into, like, the wastelands, and there's monsters there. So Serial kind of makes it so, like, there's an upper plate where the rich people live, the lower plates where the poor people live. And it kind of keeps the poor people down. So like people gotta live in the slums, they gotta get by how they can. So it's very much like intentionally designed to be against the people. So I see why you question it. It's like, yeah, who would do this? Obviously the people that want to stay rich and don't care about poor people, right?
Right, which it's not so much different to our society today.
Spitting.
Oh my lord. And it's just that, like, I don't know why, like, nobody, like, even the poor people, they didn't question that. It's like, y'all really went with this? Like,
I mean, they can't really do anything about it, you know? Like,
that's true, but it's like, at least an acknowledgement of question. It's like, it's kind of scary of how much Senior could wrap around in their little fingers like that.
Yeah.
So, but I will say that, like, it does give that realism type of view to it, which I do appreciate. But I'm surprised there was not a single soul, not a single one, questioned that shit to a highest degree because of the blind faith of Shinra. Nobody did. Oh Lord, but yeah, no, because obviously it's just so fucked up, man. It makes me sick thinking about this. It's like, holy shit, because since it was designed like that to be on purpose, there's no doubt that it could be like, I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit too much about this, or going off a little bit of far-fetched though, but that could almost be no different to us how we suffer in our society. That's scary.
That's definitely the point. That's definitely intentional, because that happens. A lot of stuff is designed to keep poor people poor and poor neighborhoods poor, and rich people rich so they can keep getting richer. It was definitely intentional.
And the worst part about that is the fact that, like I said, they have the mentality of some sacrifices are meant to be made, and guess who's the first one to do that just in case the numbers have to go down? The poor.
Yeah.
And it's so fucked and it's scary. And that's why I'm just like, God damn, like I said, like, not even a question or acknowledgement about that. Guys, don't try to at least try. I'm not saying do something about that though, but it's like, look at the bigger picture here. So, but that's all I really had to say about the whole Midgar situation, because that is scary. Like, I don't know why I hear a lot of people that say that they will want to live in Midgar. I'm like, if you're rich, maybe, but I would personally not even live there. No, I could not do that. Hell to the no. They're gonna drop me. Exactly. They will drop you. But no, Cosmo Canyon, I would go there. At least for me, I would definitely go there.
Yes, sir.
But other than that, I think that's all like the notable things I had to mention with the original Final Fantasy VII. We could go off next to Advent Children.
Oh, we're going forward now?
We're gonna go for. I think like. Do you have anything that you want to mention for the original?
It's a very good game. It was revolutionary for the time, and I feel like everyone should experience it the best they can. It's on a lot of platforms now.
Okay, gotcha. So, all right. So now. Everything has been like dived into with 7. So, I will say that like, just to give a little bit to put out there, if you guys have any thoughts of what you think about the original 7 that what we just discussed, like, I would suggest like tweeting at the Storm Connect Twitter at Storm Connect EN, and then you could just put the hashtag of the game, because like I said, how this is gonna go off. If you guys have any questions or thoughts, I am going, because again, this will not be the last Final Fantasy VII podcast I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be doing another one of Remake. So if you guys have any questions or thoughts that you want to give out, you could just put the hashtag and then you can label the game either the original 7, Advent Children, and Crisis Core, and then your statement and towards that, and then, you know, I'll see what I can do from there and such from here on forward. Is because I'm definitely probably going to want to mention that for when I get to Remake. So just wanted to throw that in there for anybody that just wants to like chime in their own thoughts and such. For those that are listening as of right now.
I got one.
Oh, what's up?
Hashtag, will I be back for Remake?
Oh my. I mean.
Hashtag, do I get to come back for Remake?
I mean. We can
People
have
at
a
home,
little-
people at home, cast your votes. Cast your votes.
Cast-
Do
you
I
can
come
cast your
back?
votes. So, alrighty. So, we can now fully move on to Advent Children.
Yes, and this is the part where I also throw out more information because I read the novel that transitions from 7 to Advent Children.
Ooh, okay.
Yes. So as you talk about things, I will be throwing little like facts or important details in there as I remember them.
Alrighty. So, Advent Children. Okay, so I want to go back to our character for this one before I go too much a little bit about the story. The character that I want to go off about a little bit because I know there's been a lot of controversies about that a little bit more. I mentioned this already in the 7 part, but now that we're in the Advent Children, we got to go a little bit more about that. Cloud Strife again for Advent Children.
All right.
So, I understand the controversy with it now that I've seen it, though, but of course, everyone's saying that, like, why is he so edgy now and stuff like that and such. I feel like it's completely justified. It may have not been executed in the best way possible, but it's like, for the events of 7, like, honestly, it feels like that type of move. Like, sure that, like, a big weight has been lifted off their shoulders and such, though, but it's like what I said before, they lost a lot. It's not exactly something that they could just, return to normal and, like, they can keep up. Like, that's a heavy weight on the shoulders. And, especially with the loss of Aerith and what's happened to the planet and what damage has been done, I would see, like, how that's more as to haunting Cloud rather than actually keeping up in, like, the spirits as how he was in the original 7.
I agree. I feel like it definitely could have been executed better. But the fact that Cloud has this, like, depression on him, I feel like it's good for the character. Like, it works, right? Because he never properly got to grieve for Zach. And he grieved for Aerith, but, like, he wasn't even himself when he was doing that. You know what I mean? So it's like, now it's, like, all hitting him. The fight's over. There's no one else to fight. All I have is just, like, me feeling bad about the past. And I get that. I get that. I just wish it was transitioned to a little better, but, like, I get that 100% for the character. It makes sense.
Right, and and it's just my thing is the fact that, like, if, at least in my shoes, I don't know if anybody could be that way because obviously, like, some people do have their optimisms, which is, that's fine. It's just, like, at least for me, like, this is where, like, I would relate to this as well. It's like, even for all that's happened, I would not take pride. I don't know where I could find the pride after all that's happened because it's like, fuck. Not only that I feel like that I fucked up, though, but it's like of what's happened, of what's been lost. It's like that fucks with your head for a while. I can't just like I'm not saying to like simply forget about that, though, but it's just like it just still doesn't feel right. And of course, that's whole with the whole grieving process. But it's like, fuck, man. It's like it's so hard to at least even have the positive attitude or to feel relaxed. You would feel still tense about it after for being hit for everything that's been going on. Because obviously with 7, like, it was even hard to have these type of emotions because like everything was hitting from one thing to another. It was one thing on top of that. Now that was actually finally slowing down, it's like that's probably like the best result that would have happened. And I'm glad that like that was a direction that was taken off with Cloud. So, which of course I will have more a little bit comments about that a little bit later as to how it all ends of Advent Children. But I will say, like, as to how the movie started off as to that's pretty much as to how I would expect. Well, I wouldn't say expect, but as to what they did, it's like, all right, I dig this Cloud, which I think it's okay. I just think that, like, I get it. A lot of people prefer the original Cloud, which I now understand why, but I feel like it's appropriate and it's not like actually like, reaching off to a character differently. I think it's still fine to intact of like how Cloud genuinely and truly feels and thinks. So, now we can actually get to the story of this. So, I had questions. There was a lot of questions, especially the people that attacked Cloud. I'm just like, who the fuck? Why the fuck? Y'all have silver hair. What the fuck are you doing? What is all this bullshit? So, so to my surprise, I finally get to talk about him. Motherfucker Rufus Shinra is actually alive. I thought he died at end of 7. Especially to what the fuck happens at the end. But no, that bitch for some reason is still kicking it. I'm just here going like, how are you not in critical condition? Like you're probably fucked up. Yeah, but dude, how? So, and then when I saw that he was actually talking, how he was talking to his group, how he was talking to Cloud, and how he was talking to the unknown figures. I'm just here going like, all right, bitch, what is actually up with your goal? So, so before I go a little bit more about with Shinra and shit, let's proceed further on to the bit of the story and such. So, okay, I'm not gonna lie, when it said advent children, I didn't think children were actually going to be involved. I thought it was just for I was under the impression that like, because from what I've seen from the main headlines and such, it was all about Cloud and Sephiroth and shit. It's like, oh shit, Sephiroth is obviously gonna fucking come back. Spoiler alert, but obvious. But, you know, I was under the impression it's like, okay, I don't know how children could be involved with this. And then, like, because that was a very interesting name, though. But then when I looked at the movie, I'm just like, oh, fuck, there are actual children involved. Okay, wait, what the fuck? Wait a minute. This is not what I signed up for. Hold on, calm down. Oh, no. And especially, I'm just like, wait a minute. And, like, before that, I saw other children getting involved. I'm like, Marlene, no, they better not do anything to her.
My daughter.
I was so scared for Marlene. I'm just like, they better not touch her. No.
Oh man, but yeah, they have figuratively and literal children in this movie.
I thought it was going to be like maybe involving with the live stream, which I mean, in a sense, it wasn't exactly far out of reach though, but I didn't mean actual children that are living right now.
Would you prefer dead children? What do you mean, like, live?
Okay, look, I mean, I'll put it this way. It was already bad enough as to what happened with 7. And the only reason why I would say the dead children would have been preferred, because it's like, you know, I don't know these kids. I mean, it's still fucked. I mean, either way, it's still fucked. It's still fucked no matter how you look at it, either way. But it's just like, at least for me, it's like, just interfere with the fucking dead at this point. Do not make the ones that are alive right now suffer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and unfortunately they do suffer because there's a mysterious illness going around that a lot of people are getting called geostigma. It appears on the skin in different areas. It's black. Your skin starts to like fall off and eventually you die, which we see in the movie. Some dude just like dies in the alley in front of these 2 kids.
Oh my god, that was
crazy.
So fucked. That was so fucked. I don't know what in their right mind thought it was a good idea, but I mean, hey, they're fucked. Fuck them.
It's crazy. And then like you see like her little brother has it and he dies off screen in the movie from it, and it's just like, wow.
That was so fucked up. That was.
But and then we get introduced to Denzel, which I'm kind of curious what you thought of Denzel, the unofficial adopted child of Cloud and Tifa.
Okay, so like, actually, I'm glad that you brought him up. He was on my mind next, actually. Denzel. So, he came off very weird, but like, I felt so bad for the character. I felt so bad. I honestly, I thought he was going to like fuck. I don't know why, but I was like kind of giving that under the impression. I'm just like, you came out of nowhere, and I thought he was going to fuck things up. But oh god, that boy went through a lot. I feel so bad for him. But I will say he was pretty ballsy for even cursing. Oh, come on, you're a kid.
At the end with the pipe?
Yeah!
That was so good. That scene was so good.
I will say that fucking got me though, but oh my Lord. I'm just glad that at least he was able to smile at the end of the movie. That was just so nice, man.
Same. To kind of go into Denzel, because they mentioned him in the novel.
Oh.
Originally, when they dropped the plate, his parents died, and he was like living on his own for a long time. And eventually, he meets an old lady and lives with her. And then when the end of 7 happens, and the live stream like explodes outwards, the old lady ends up dying, but he lives, and he gets hit by like that wave of like Mako, and he ends up getting the geostigma too. He has it on his forehead, and then eventually he wanders around and finds Cloud, and then Cloud basically is like, all right, this is my son now.
Oh yeah, like oh my Lord, I was just so glad like how they like picked him up though, but like it took a while, but I'm just so glad that justice was served for him and such, and I'm that boy is well taken care of. Thank goodness. Yeah. Thank goodness. So a lot of people, I don't know why, I actually do hear a lot of controversies with Denzel. Like, I mean, I get it because it looks like he just kind of came out of nowhere, but like, I don't know that's a kid. Come on, that was a kid that he was living his life. He was trying to actually live, but that just did not happen. Oh, we just have another guest that just came in. Hello,
ladies, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to the stage, Mugo.
Hello.
Hi.
Glad to have you.
How'd you come up with that?
It's off the dome, baby. It's off the dome. You guys stay with me.
All right.
We talked. We basically just jumped. We just jumped on into Advent Children. We just kind of finished up with like the events of 7 though. But like to give you like the quick rundown, like, I fuck the city of the layout of Midgar. I love all the characters. Sephiroth is a weird mommy issue character, but I can still appreciate him for his chill maniac's sense of self. And there are times where like the plot armor does not feel like plot armor. It just feels like genuine luck.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Sephiroth just loves his mom.
Okay, but I didn't expect it to be that much.
Wow, can he not love his mom in peace? Is that what you're saying?
In peace. Okay, what do you define in peace then?
When he reunites with his mother after not seeing her for a very, very long time.
Oh yeah, okay. And then what was he gonna do? What was he gonna do after that?
Make a peaceful world.
You know what we're calling it now?
A new world.
Oh my God, no, this man is fucking crazy. And now that we're talking about Advent Children, I'm glad we're now on Advent Children because again, spoiler alert, he comes back.
Okay, so I feel like I gotta bring this up now.
Okay.
So in the novels, again, they mention like Aerith doing stuff in the live stream and Sephiroth doing stuff in the live stream. And Sephiroth is really interesting because he's kind of like, he's conscious because of Genova, but like unlike Aerith, he doesn't remember all of himself. Again, spoilers for the movie. So something he does is he breaks off himself into like parts of himself into 3 pieces, and then he sends them out of the live stream into the world to go reunite with like Genova cells that are still out there. And in the live stream, because again, he's crazy like that, the geostigma comes from Sephiroth. When the live stream like went across the planet in the end of 7, he like infected people with geostigma. So that's why in the movie, when kids start getting like they can get like possessed or under the control of the Kadaji's gang because they're part of Sephiroth, and Sephiroth could do that in the game. You know, like with the failed experiments, he could like influence them and stuff.
That boy really gave everyone corona.
You're dating this podcast.
That's just, and again, that just shows up how fucking insane that bitch was.
Very. Something that I find really interesting. I'm sorry to cut you off. is he says is he can't remember who he is, but as long as other people remember him, he can come back. And the only name he remembers is Cloud. He doesn't remember himself, but he remembers Cloud's name. So Cloud is kind of like an anchor for him, and that's why in the movie his closing line is "I will never be a memory." As long as Cloud keeps remembering Sephiroth, or somebody does, he'll keep be able to use that to remember himself. It's a really interesting nugget.
In the sense, he's immortal.
Not just him, but like, wouldn't that also apply to like other characters? Like, again, like Aerith, if she wanted to, she could come back as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she says that in her live stream White that she could have done that. She could have came back in a vessel or like as an Advent child too, but she would have had all of her memories. She would have been 100% back, but she chose not to because she said that's not how life works. People are dead, gotta stay dead.
Yeah.
And it's touching because there's a moment in the movie where like she Cloud gets healed of his geostigma, and you hear Aerith like, "Let's go, Cloud!" Like cheering him on one more time. It's really sweet, but she uses her power to say like, "You got this," and then like leads him to it.
Yeah, definitely. Now that you mentioned about with Sephiroth his methods to coming back, I do have to talk about. I was gonna wait on this for a little bit though, but you know what? This is starting to bother me a little bit more than it should. Let's talk about those 3 weird motherfuckers in that goddamn movie.
The Remnants?
Yes, the Remnants. I hated the Remnants. I fucking hated them. Like, in a way, they were good though, but for me, like, they were just the fucking. They were trying to be Sephiroth. At least that was the impression that like of the way how they were talking. I'm like, you all wish you were Sephiroth. You will never be good as Sephiroth. Shut up.
I mean, they're all part of Sephiroth.
They are, but like there are times where it's just like they like have their own type of goal in a way though. Like it feels like a little bit different. But
Yeah.
I'm just like, shut the fuck up, please. Actually, shut the fuck up.
A lot of
I'm
their
tired.
personalities are like very pure of Sephiroth. It's like like with Kadaj, for example. It's like with the vindictive shit that Sephiroth's on most of the time. He just wants to reunite with his mother. I forgot the other two's name. The brawler.
Laws is the brawler, and Yazoo is the other one.
Yeah, I mean, like you see how like their archetypes are like so different, but they all resemble Sephiroth in some way.
Yeah.
And that's why they're known as the remnants of Sephiroth. And then when
I
they
did
all
not
get
expect
together-
that they would act like it would actually work as like a vessel type of way.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say it's better than the fucking Kingdom Hearts vessel bullshit concept.
Let's not. Let's save
sorry,
that for another day.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just throwing a lot of shade right now because when I look at this and now like, because Moogle over here always mentions to me that like he was the one that tells me that the characters from Final Fantasy that were entered into Kingdom Hearts were extremely butchered. He always was the one telling me that, and of course like I did not dismiss that, but I'm just like, is it really that bad? Because I was just like, I don't know. But then now I actually play the game, I'm just like, oh, okay. Moogle was not bullshitting me. All right, okay, Moogle, go off. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no. But those characters, I just now that that I spoke about that, let me go a little bit more further about this. Now, we actually can talk about this character fully. Rufus Shinra. Rufus motherfucking Shinra. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna say this. I am gonna be ballsy when I fucking say this. So if anybody just wants to, I don't care if I get slandered for this. I don't care. To me, I know this might cause a little bit of fire right now.
Yeah.
But he kind of might be the Donald Trump of the world of Final Fantasy. I'm sorry.
That's crazy.
I don't care.
Extremely crazy.
He kind of, but I will say in a way, Rufus is better because he does play it smartly and he's the moral type of gray. Like, now that I understand, especially from Advent Children, he is morally gray. And I will say, to in a sense, I will actually compliment him for his intelligence.
All right. I wouldn't say he's like morally gray though. I think it's a bit like like he's changing, you know. Like when we meet him, he's like what in his like mid-20s, like early adulthood.
Yeah.
So he's still growing by then, and by Advent Children, it's like you see him with the resolve to, you know, like fund Midgar, repair the city and stuff like that, and atone for like what his father did, and overall wants to make Midgar a better place rather than Shinra just overall controlling everything. So he's been using his money for good in Advent Children.
For once, yeah. It's just like how it originally started. It's like that result did not exist before, which that's why I'm saying like it kind of came in a little bit late. But like it's just the way how he was kind of like going from one thing to another. I'm just like, dude, I understand that you should want to have the change and such though, but if you're really going for this, like you might want to take a little bit of a couple extra steps to cut out your bullshit.
Yeah.
So, at least that's just what it is in my opinion from that though. But like, just especially for 7 specifically, I'm just like, no, I hate the decisions that you're fucking making. It's good that you know, but like there are just some things where I'm just like, this is exactly what I'm just thinking as a political figure. It's like you would definitely fucking do. For Advent Children, he came off as shady as fuck. But
it's because he wore a sheet. Is that what it is?
That's exactly what it is.
He wore a sheet most of the movie.
That's what it is.
He does. It's just like the way of how like he was like talking to all the characters. I'm just like, all right, bitch, what the fuck are you up to? And I mean, again, like at least he did try to help out though. But I'm just like, get out of here, get out of my face. But I'm just like indifferent towards that character. That's all I can really say about for Rufus Jr. though. But it's like I feel like that there's always like something on his mind that it just troubles me a lot because I'm just like, huh. Okay. All right. Now what the fuck do you actually want to say?
That boy's always thinking.
He's always fucking thinking and just being, I don't know, just sometimes he's a little bit of a smug. I just want to punch him in the face.
It's perfect.
Felt that.
He's you. That's crazy. That's what
that is not me. Do not know.
Definitely you.
No, there's another character. There is another character of 7 that I believe that I am, and it's definitely not Rufus.
Who?
He's in 7 Remake.
Who?
Which?
Yeah, well, who?
Okay, all right, okay, fine. If we're gonna be talking about this, we are not gonna go too much about it because that's gonna be another discussion for another day. But yeah. I have a feel it's just honestly the one that I kind of relate to the most is Leslie.
Oh,
hello?
What?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I actually did not expect that.
All right, bro. All right.
You ain't read Kids on the Slope.
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
The children are not all right. The children are not.
Look. Like I said, we'll have the discussion when this is over.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let's back on track. Advent Children.
Yeah.
A character who's writing, beside the fact that like they kind of like don't do anything with Barrett or Sid or Yuffie or Nanaki or Kate
or anyone,
is Tifa, and Tifa feels really off because like there's a point where like she wants Cloud to come home and just like for them all to be together, but like there's points in the movie where like she like blames him and calls him a coward for running away, and I'm like, that doesn't feel like Tifa. That's not a Tifa thing to do.
Yeah,
that's weird.
It was weird.
When I saw that, that's when I feel like the story was about to get shaky, at least for me.
Yeah, that's a really shaky point for me is like Tifa's writing. Sometimes it's like, okay, like them, like when the church scene with Marlene, or like we'll wait for him to come home. That feels nice. She's letting him fight this battle for himself. That's fine. I'm cool with that. But like you calling him a coward for running away, or you yelling at him for thinking he has it hard when he kind of does for himself, it's like that doesn't feel like Tifa. That doesn't feel like a good extension of the character.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know.
I like-
Oh no, go ahead.
Or well, I liked one scene in Seven, or like Advent Children, where it's like with Marlene and Cloud, and like she pulls like a bear and she's like telling him never to give up, and like I feel that could have been what Tifa could have said, like what she should have instead of all the other crap that she did.
Right.
Yeah, that moment was so nice though. Like out of everyone, I actually expected Tifa to say it, not Marlene. But it's good that it's in there regardless. Like I feel that was a specific moment to where we got an insight to Cloud's mind at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it opened up. It was a nice way to like explore the mindset of Cloud. And we got a good sense of his character from the.
It was a bit of thought-provoking process. I will say that it did give. I will agree with you on that.
Yeah. Like he's talking to Aerith, and he's like, "Can some sins be forgiven?" But it's like you already have. Like no one's blaming you for not being able to save everybody, but it's like no one, well, he's still mad at himself.
Yeah.
Right.
Dilly dally shilly shally.
Get out of here! I hate dilly
I hated
dally
that.
shally.
That annoyed me. That actually genuinely annoyed me.
Do you prefer Zudis?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So now let's talk about the best part about Advent Children. The fight scenes.
Yes,
The fight
I want to
scenes
talk about
are
that.
fire. Okay. The church fight with Lois and Tifa was fire. Seeing her like flip around the church and like get thrown against the thing, and she like stands on the wall and the flowers get like kicked up. Beautiful. Mwah. 10 out of 10. I love it. I eat it up. Anytime Cloud pulls out the fusion blade and starts like using it in like pieces and like combines pieces on the fly, it's tight. It's so tight.
I agree with that. Yes, that was actually so fucking cool. What else was there?
The Bahamut fight. When Kadaj summons the Bahamut and everyone shows up.
Oh, yes. Okay. That part, for a 2005 movie, I did not expect that to actually look pretty. Like, obviously, like, of way how we develop our movies are, like, vastly different and, like, more upgraded, though. But for a 2005 fucking movie, that is impressive. Oh, my God. It still looked like I can still admire it with its aesthetics and its, like, what effects that they did with that scene, with that battle fight specifically. It was just so fucking good. Like, and especially, like, with the color aesthetics to it, like, the lighting. Sorry,
Yeah.
my designer vocabulary is coming out though, but it spoke out a lot to me. I'm just like, this is so good. No, I do not want to hear slander about this movie when it comes to its the fight scenes, huh?
What surprised me though, that like especially with Square, is that they already tried making a CG Final Fantasy movie, which failed horribly.
Very.
Yeah, and then like the jump from that to what we got with Advent Children, like visually and overall, like with the story, it's like pretty impressive how it succeeded so well.
Just a note for those at home. We watched Advent Children Complete, which has like extra like scenes and stuff. I feel like it was touched up more than regular Advent Children.
Yeah, they reworked Sephiroth's fight too, with the Omni Slash.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that next?
Oh my god, we have to. That fight is so good. And then see Zack come in. Oh god.
Shall I give you despair?
Alrighty. Cue the music. Okay. Cue the music, because I'm having this as the background music for this part. Alrighty. Cloud versus Sephiroth. Oh my god. I will say, when Sephiroth came back at that moment, I literally like had my eyes widen and I was like, bitch, stop. And just, oh my god, it's just, I'm so glad that like he was not butchered in any way. Like he still has the chill maniac self to him. And it's like, oh my god, he came back. He really came back to broad hell. And then when I saw that he was controlling the atmosphere, I'm like, okay, bitch, all right, go off. Okay. He really turned that sunny day into a dark, cloudy day.
I still don't get how he did that.
Yeah, look, I've
It's
been
magic,
questioning
bro.
Sephiroth. Yeah, I've been questioning Sephiroth's power ever since like he went from a soldier to a whatever fucking maniac space, whatever the fuck he is at this point. I don't care. Well, I do care, but like, I'm tired of Sephiroth at the same time. But
That boy,
needless, huh?
he had the black material on him.
It's just see that I'm just like, okay, all right. You brought out the theme song. You brought out now you have to affect the sky's atmosphere. Okay, bitch. All right. So you want to be a special snowflake?
He's like cutting up buildings and like slashing buildings at clouds and stuff, man.
That boy grew a wing.
Okay, that was extra. Okay, everything he did was so fucking extra. But when I saw that wing, I'm like, okay, bitch. You thinking you're actually going to use the planet as your vessel? Shut up.
Yeah, 'cause once again, he wants to turn the planet into a Corvette and ride around in it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. That bitch was fucking crazy. But like, even then, like, I just admire like the voice acting. Like, that was done with so much justice. And it's just the fact that, like, you know, again, with this battle quote, so he was like, shall I give you despair and shit? I'm just like, why are you sending a chill down my spine? I can feel that. That is, like, terrifying. Oh, my God.
George knew there.
He did.
George crushed it.
He
definitely
did
did.
so awesome.
Who's Cloud's voice actor for this movie? Because that line,
Steve Burton.
Steve Burton, when he
Steve
gives
Burton.
that line, you just don't get it. There's nothing I don't cherish. Was so good. I love that line.
Yeah.
I also love that I pity you. I was like, ooh, get his ass. But what I loved about it as well is the fact that like they actually like some of the elements that you've seen in the original of like, you know, how he's able to do the blade beam and stuff like that. And with the Omni Slash and stuff, like with the new sword that he carries now, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want that sword more than the other one, because for me it just looked cool.
The fusion blade over the Buster Sword?
The fusion, yeah, I prefer the fusion blade over the Buster Sword. That's just me.
Ooh.
Down.
Ooh,
But,
wow. Ooh, okay.
I don't know why, because like the Buster Sword is very cool. Don't get me wrong, especially to like what lore it carries behind it, and it's very appealing too. But something about that fusion blade, when I saw it in action, I'm just like, I'm sorry, but this kind of feels a little bit more into my style. At least that's just me though. I just love that personally. And the way, again, like the way of how the effects works for the Omni Slash, I'm just like, so let me go on my After Effects program real quick.
It's so cool. The way it looks now over just regular Advent Children is such an improvement.
A big improvement, yes. And you know what? Something I'm curious, because I don't know if they're gonna do this for remake, but like, since this is kind of basically their opportunity to like do whatever the fuck they want and like go much in depth into it, I would not be surprised if they actually invite the elements and lore stuff into Advent Children and Crisis Core into this game. But I don't know. I don't know if they want to go that far though, but like that really depends on like what they're gonna really do with that, you know. But that's another story for another day. Once I like complete remake and we find out what Square wants to do with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, all right, shut up. You both are scaring me right now. You both are scaring me.
What's
Never
the
mind.
problem? What's the problem?
Nothing. You guys are scaring me. Look, okay. All I'm saying, look. All I'm saying is that that fight scene specifically was just so fucking beautiful, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit impressed that Cloud was able to end that fight within like minutes. Well, I wouldn't say minutes because we don't know the fucking actual time of how long that fight actually lasted, but at least within that day range. That's
Yeah.
you know, that's reassuring. But I will say the fact that it was like very good, and especially with Zack appearing. Oh my god!
I love that scene. I love that. I love Zack. Zack's one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters.
I agree.
Captain Souls right there for me.
Kefka's my favorite villain, but like Zack's like come on, bro.
I mean, Zack's cool, you know, but Kefka forever will be like my favorite villain and character.
I respect that. I respect that. We'll get there one day. What do you rate Advent Children Complete out of 10?
For me, I want to give that a... for me, at least, I'm saying that it barely gets a 7 out of 10 from me. And again, the reason why I say this is because that there were the story, it got very, very shaky with that moment. A lot of the moments, actually. And again, like, as you guys have briefly addressed, with Tifa's character and such, it's just like some of it just kind of did not make sense. Well, not, I wouldn't say it makes sense though, but it's just like it's not consistent. Even with like now that like even when we watch the remake of oh my god, the complete version of it, I will say that like at least like it's an enjoyable experience. I will say that like I thoroughly enjoyed it because it was just still so satisfying to see the after effects and what comes after though. But I will say like in terms of like, you know, character consistencies and like, you know, what the story was actually going for, there were a little bit kind of questions about that kind of I wouldn't say it's incredibly bad though, but there was a good chunk amount of the story where I'm just like, I had to raise my eyebrows a couple times. But other than that, beautiful aesthetics, the soundtrack, beautiful justice, and I love how they actually complemented, like, you know, going off with how 7 works into that movie. I still felt like I was still in the universe of 7. So yeah, no, I will say that it's solid. It could have been done a lot better though.
That's fair. Google, any closing thoughts for Advent Children?
No, those are pretty close to mine.
Then, like Samurai Jack, we gotta get back to the past. We talk about Crisis Core.
Crisis Core. Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. The past. So, that game... Okay, so I want to make this clear for everybody. I did not play Crisis Core. I can't say for everyone else in the server, but I only watched the cutscenes all of Crisis Core. I did it with one night in the server and such because I kind of just wanted to get it out of the way before I could play 7 Remake and actually talk about Final Fantasy VII. So we watched I watched Crisis Core with the server mates and such, and I can't say anything in regards to the gameplay, unfortunately, like I said. So the only thing I'm mostly going to be talking about is the story. However, if anyone in here has played the game and has any comments to make about the gameplay, you're more than welcome to do so.
You know? Gameplay is very nice for a 2011 PSP game. I think it was 2011, wasn't it? Or wait, no. It was way sooner than that. It was way sooner. It was like
2007, 08, around there?
Yeah, around there. And the fact that it was directed by Tabata as well, which he's worked on Type 0 and 15, you know, it's like, you see elements within the modern games that he's made, but Crisis Core is honestly one of the better, like, games he's directed.
Yeah.
When it comes to combat and story.
More on the combat. Something I found interesting was like the DMW wave and like how certain events in game would affect it, which I thought was cool. Like Zack's mind state would like affect how like your higher rolls are, or chances of rolls, and like stuff involving that system was really cool. I wish it was a little more consistent, and I wish summons weren't tied to it, but I still feel like summons being in it is cool. Especially like how they use it at the end of the game with the DMW, because oh my god, that's like one of the best uses of an in-game mechanic for storytelling, like ever.
It was really nice. When you just hear everyone.
Yeah, but like going forward, Crisis Core is the story of Zack Fair, who was mentioned in like his story was kind of shown in 7. He was very much like a throwaway character. Like he was there to like show like what happened to Cloud, and like he was like Cloud's friend, and then he died, and that's kind of it. But like Crisis Core is very much like his story. This is like the story of Zack rising from like a second class soldier to first class, to like his involvement in the 7 world and how he meets Cloud and Aerith and the Turks. And it's so well done. It made me like want to root for Shinra, even though like I don't like Shinra as a whole.
Yeah, Shinra just isn't it, bro.
It very much felt like Zack was like his own sect, right? Like he was doing his
Yeah.
own thing.
Times were different too.
True, because Lazard was in charge.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot about that. That's what, like, I was wondering why it was felt a little bit different. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me of that, actually.
Yeah, like none of the people, save for like I think Hojo, from like Shinra in Final Fantasy VII, were involved with Shinra in Crisis Core, I think.
Right.
I think.
Okay.
Wait, repeat that one more time?
Like not all the people present in like Final Fantasy VII in Shinra were present in Crisis Core, except for like Hojo
and the Turks.
and the Turks, of course. Yeah, the Turks.
Yeah.
Which, like, speaking of the Turks, they felt so like different in Crisis Core. Like it feels like looking at them from Crisis Core to 7, it very feels much like they just like kind of like lost like their spirit in this event, and we're kind of just like, all right, we just gotta do our job now.
You said it just right. That's exactly how I felt about the Turks with that. I mean, like,
Very tragic.
I like how their dynamics changed because I feel like I don't think it would still be intact after for like the events that came together. So I feel like this was kind of like the best way that it would have happened, I will say, which that's why like I'm not really like too much about it though. But it was definitely notable the fact that you mentioned this, the fact that like they were off and such, but I think that's like the best, the acceptable outcome after for what leads to this, to that, and then what's happened in the past with Crisis Core.
Yeah. And it's really tragic too with the Turks, being that they wanted to save Zack. And everything then failed.
So, yeah, you meet him. He's doing a training mission. He's got his boy Ngio, who has the Buster Sword. And it's very much like a tragic tale of, like, Zack getting swept up in, like, the mess of the world in Shinra, losing his friends in Ngio, Sephiroth eventually going rogue, this new Genesis being introduced, who is very controversial in the community. And it's one of the things we don't like being introduced in Crisis Core, but if you like Genesis, go off. Zack inheriting the Buster Sword from Angel, which is a very beautiful scene. It's very like, it's very well executed. It's not this big thing where he's like screaming to the sky, being anime about it. It's very much like a quiet moment of him taking it, swallowing the moment, eventually going to Aerith about it. She kind of just like hugs him while he cries about it. It's a very silent, somber moment, and they let you sit in it.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't expecting from a Tabata game. It's like good, somber, thought out moments.
Right. Type Zero's right there.
That's fair. I never beat Type Zero.
Yeah. Although Type Zero's a little bit on the worry side of things.
So now that we brought those characters up, I kind of want to start this off with this first before I go off about Zack. I really, really want to dive into this immediately. Sephiroth, Genesis, and Angel. Sephiroth has friends. He had friends. That's crazy.
He had friends. They were also first class.
He had feelings.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like that, you just the fact that he had friends in general. Like what I saw out of Crisis Core, it's like what? Holy shit! You actually can talk to people. What is this? I thought that was just so crazy to me. I was like, wait a minute, whoa, what the fuck? But needless to say, I will mention the fact that when they dived into that flashback of those three together, I love I don't know why, just something about the trio friendship just felt so nice. And even with that, like, it just shows a lot of their dynamics of how they were originally as to how they actually turned out to be later. And I look at that and I'm just like, this is just so mind-fucking in so many ways. I don't know. I just don't know how to actually feel about that because I'm just like, holy shit, like, it makes me sad. Because I'm like, you guys could have been the ones. I feel like just you three would have been the best unstoppable force in the world of Final Fantasy VII. No cap. But
Yeah.
it just, it breaks my heart because I'm just like, you all fell in your own way. And how everyone's fates has happened in Final Fantasy VII is super ironic, at least. Like, you know, Sephiroth became like the most like threatening goddamn antagonist, the main antagonist of fucking Final Fantasy in general. Basically, not Angel, Genesis and Sephiroth were like the crazy motherfuckers of the group, even though they like talked about of like, well, mostly Genesis, of like
Loveless,
the world needs a new
loveless.
Loveless. Oh God, I gotta start memorizing the quotes for that because it was just so
Infinite
good.
industry is the gift of the goddess. We seek it thus and take to the skies. Ripples form on the water's surface. The wandering soul knows no rest. Yes, I had it memorized. Yes, I used to have all of it memorized.
All right. Say all 5 acts.
All 5 acts? No, we do not have time for that.
We don't got time for that. But man, like, you know, I don't know, it's just like I just love that dynamic. I have not seen like a very good dynamic like that in a long time, and it just made me appreciate that even more. But it's just the fact that, like, you know, like I said, the ironic ending, Sephiroth, the craziest motherfucker about, you know, the world and shit. Genesis, okay, that motherfucker went out to his own world. I'm sorry, but
he died.
Yeah, he was something, all right. Which, okay, but I already shared my opinion on Sephiroth, so I want to talk about this with Genesis actually. So Genesis, okay, I'm not gonna lie. Initially, the only times I actually have liked him was basically that cutscene with
that's the only one.
Sephiroth.
It's the only good one.
Yeah, the fight. The only time I actually like Genesis, though. But as we develop it more as to why he's doing for the way that he was doing shit, I'm just like, can you shut up? Like, okay, look, it was cool that you were being poetic and shit. That's probably like the one thing I actually kind of could tolerate you. Not like you could tolerate is your poems of your stupid, loveless bullshit. But there are moments where I'm like, Genesis, please shut the fuck up. Please, you talk way too much. You need to stop. Like, at that moment, that's when I determined, I'm like, okay, he's just off in his own fucking world. Okay, stop.
Whenever, like, he just starts reciting Loveless in, like, the worst times possible, it's so weird. It's like I pull out Shakespeare in the middle of our conversation right now.
I also hate that he shows up for the Nibelheim incident and kind of like explains the plot. It's like, bro, you're ruining the moment. I hate how he just appears in some scenes, bro.
My screen.
Yeah.
Just get off my screen.
And then Angeal, he was a big surprise to me of how he acted. Like, I was heartbroken the fact that, like, I thought that because it was fucking with Zack, because he turned against him. I was like, no, you were the one that talked about honor. What the fuck? And then when I saw the ending, I'm like, oh, you actually, as I thought you were gonna be the next people that, like, it's just, you actually turned out to be a hero at the end of the day. What the fuck? Yeah. Holy shit. And that's why it makes me so sad. It's like, initially among that trio, like, if you look at it, it feels like Sephiroth could have been the one to, like, bring the face value of good of everything, because Sephiroth is just that fucking intimidating as fuck. But, you know, I thought Genesis and Angeal would be, like, the supports of Sephiroth, though, but as we turns out, again, like, the one who actually did a lot out of anything was Angeal. Wow. Yeah. Holy shit, man.
It was kind of like the Itachi archetype.
Yeah, he kind of was.
I would make some similarities to that.
Mm-hmm. So, but I was just so sad. I was so sad that now that, like, I actually got to understand with Angeal later, it's like, oh my fuck, I felt conflicted at first because I was like, I didn't know exactly how to feel about it though, but then it made sense. It made sense as to like how that concluded. It's like, you know what? You did good. You did protect your honor. I don't care what anybody says though, but he did protect his honor. So, but I will say just that entirely itself was just so... I'm so glad that they brought that up. Like, I will say, like, I will feel some type of way, like, if I did not see that with Sephiroth, Genesis, and Angeal. That was just so fucking good.
Yeah.
So, that's all I really have to say about those three characters specifically. Oh, wait, actually, one more thing I want to mention. The theme song comes back again. When Genesis really wanted to try it. He really tried it.
Genesis was like level 1 and Sephiroth was the 99 boss and he tried to go for it.
It was funny because like of how like the training fight was actually supposed to be, but then of course Genesis has to be that one guy out of every friend group that wants to take a joke too far or something like, you know, lighthearted. He took it way too fucking seriously, and then Sephiroth was like, okay, bitch, since you want to play games like that, let me play at your level. I don't know why he had it. Like he was so warped about being a new hero. It's like, yeah, how's that being a new hero working out for you, buddy? Shit. Like, you don't got your own theme song. If you hear the fucking music, yeah, no, bitch, you're gone. Sorry, you're no man.
I mean, he has his own theme song.
Okay,
it's
but
not
it's
Cole's
not...
One-Winged Angel.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think like in that fight though, it was kind of sad when he blew off Angeal.
He burned his face off. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, how did Angeal live after that? Come on, bro.
Not only that,
definitely
but like,
did not have a Phoenix down.
How the fuck did he still has his flesh skin on his fucking face?
We just said Genesis is level 1. Come on, bro.
Okay, fair enough. Bro. But I mean, okay, all right. He probably used a healing materia or something. But
does that heal flesh?
I don't know. Does it? It could. I don't fucking know. Materia could be anything in this fucking game. I don't know, man.
That's another podcast for another day.
Yeah, all the materia. Oh yeah, that's something I want to. Let me just say that briefly. I will say that I love the concept and the materia of Final Fantasy in general. I actually thoroughly. It doesn't feel like it's like goes into a convoluted point or whatever, and the fact that like it infuses with like the magic types, I understand it completely, and it just. I actually like I don't know why. I'm just like so attached to that concept a lot, especially like the fact that like I got to like know a little bit more about Final Fantasy. It's like, oh wow, it's really cool. I'm not gonna lie. Gotta make my own orbs now.
Yeah, it was a nice concept in 7 that they introduced.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, I will say the one thing besides the one time I actually liked Angeal, I will say the other thing I do like about him is his character design. That's it. That's the only time that I actually liked about it. Other than that, he can stay where he's at. He's good. He's very well in his own way of not being relevant anymore.
That's crazy. It's true. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There was like this one artwork where it was Angeal, Zack, and Cloud, and like the Buster Swords in the middle. They're all holding it. Is it like that?
I love that picture. That picture's so good.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Speaking of characters being where they're at, I love bromance between Aerith and Zack. It's so nice, and I like. They don't make Aerith like lean too hard into being this really sweet girl. She's still kind of sassy. She still cracks jokes, but she's still she's younger now, and they show that, and it's just so sweet seeing her and Zack get to know each other, and like just like the whole relationship like blossom. It's so good.
It definitely is. I agree with that. And honestly, like I can now understand like the relationship between with Aerith and Zack, and I just. Man, I'm so mad. I really was livid. Like, there was a lot of moments where like Final Fantasy VII like maybe drove into like a very emotional point though, but the fate between with Aerith and Zack, I was like, no, that got me at the edge of my seat. I'm just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. No, this is not how it was supposed to end. Why do you do this to me? It was way too good. They actually wrote that so well. I'm like, why am I actually enjoying this? What?
She wrote him 89 letters, bro. Like
they're all,
and some just has all of them in his desk.
they're all left on red.
So fucked.
That's crazy.
That was so fucked.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault.
It was not, because he did say he was gonna be. He probably might be gone for a while, but that a while turned to a forever.
I blame Hojo.
Fuck Hojo.
Hold and hold. If you have a H-O in your name, you're a hoe for sure.
No, Mughal, I was just saying this to Zero, right? Like, honestly, I'm sorry, but I got so pissed originally in 7 because there are many perfect opportunities. He is the one character that just had to die. And the fact that nobody took the opportunity, like there were multiple opportunities to kill that motherfucker. He has to die, but no one took it. I'm tired of his shit.
He was too elusive.
I'm tired of his shit. I'm tired of Hojo. I'm tired of him breathing. Holy crap. Like I said, he's the catalyst for a lot of the shit that has happened in the actual game. I'm just like, fuck this mad scientist. Kill him, please.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He definitely did have a lot of plot armor.
A shit ton of it. And I was so mad. Like, okay, there are times where I'm just like, okay, yeah, he can't die immediately because there's some shit that we did have to know and actually had to grab out of fucking Hojo. But no, I'm sorry, that character should not be living. He should not be walking in the world. Look, that's something that I was mentioning as well earlier. I hope to God in remake, because if they're gonna do some changes, I doubt they're going to, but if they do some changes, how about they actually, I don't know, kill him off next time? Fuck. I'm tired of this. Oh my lord, it's just there's so much injustice that's happened all because of that motherfucker. I'm tired of him. I'm so tired. But okay, now that I'm done with that,
I like how he's written. You know, his character is very well written.
Oh yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and being the mad scientist of everything.
Yeah.
Being the cataclysm of a lot.
Unfortunately, though, we got to talk about the ending to Crisis Core.
Well, okay, wait. Before we kind of do that, like, I feel like it's best that like we kind of start this off first because it does allude to the ending. So, I want to talk about Zack. Zack in general.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
Okay.
I remember what you said when he first appeared on screen. You thought that boy was so mid. I remember exactly that. I don't even know how you thought he was mid. That boy jumped out of a plane onto a train, a moving train nonetheless, and you called him mid. Like after he slashed down like 50 soldiers. Like I don't know how you're gonna call him mid, but yeah. Continue.
Okay.
What do you think?
All right. Well, as to what Mughal said, I was wondering why. I thought Zack was overhyped. I originally thought he was actually overhyped, and I was like, who is this fucker? Like, I'm not saying like he was about to be like bad or anything though, but like I was like, okay, since he's mentioned so much, I guess there has to be some type of like special treatment that he's receiving from the fan base. I'm just like, okay, what's actually so special about it? Because I looked at him and I'm just like, can I actually like you? I don't know, because I'm just like, there's something about you. But then, all right, so let me just start this from the top, okay? So, Zack, as he develops, like at first, like he's a little bit of an airhead, but I enjoy the type of airhead that he actually was in Crisis Core. But it's just the way of how he actually develops, because like of course Angel was like, you have to protect your honor, it's all about this, it's all about that, and of course obviously he did not understand that though, but it's like he already had that type of concept before he actually came to the realization that it's like he now understands the true meaning of what having the honor of a soldier is. And after that, like, that's when I started warming up to him a little bit. I'm just like, okay, wait a minute. All right. Okay, you're maybe not as bad as I thought. You're probably actually pretty good. Like, you know, he was starting to get off of the mid comment that I had. And it's just like the way of like how he was fighting he fought for a lot of things, and like of how he was like always this carefree type of guy. How he developed his small little connection with Cloud, with Aerith and such, and you know, I was like, oh, you're not a dumbass. Okay, wait, hold on. And all right, so what is the verdict? I don't want to hear any slander of Zach. He is.
There it is.
I'm sorry, but nobody. I don't want anyone trying to debate with this on me, but he is not, at least for me. Okay. Sorry, I have to like take a little bit of a moment to say this because it's like, it impacts that much power to me, but he is actually like the best he's actually my top character as the Final Fantasy VII overall. Sorry, but yeah. I love him. I love him way too fucking much. I apologize now, the fact that I called him mid immediately when I first saw him on my screen, and I was wondering like, why is he like this? And then after that, it's like, oh my god, no. I wish you didn't have to die. No, please come back. Like, I'm sorry, but no. I'm so mad that he died. I'm just like, I hate this ending so much. Like, oh god. And then the fact that the Turks were trying to actually save him, I'm like, can we rewrite the story, please? I don't ask for a rewrite of the story a lot. Maybe for that fucking Hojo bullshit. But can we please bring Zack back? I'm so mad.
I think the part for me that makes him so good is like, all throughout 7, it's about people like losing themselves and trying to find themselves and trying to figure out who they are as a person, right? But Zack, from the beginning, is like, yo, I know who I am. I'm confident. I'm cool. I want to be a hero. I want to help people. Like, Zack knows who he is, and is like, he's steadfast in who he is, and the game is very much him and his views being like challenged, and him growing with that, and it's so good. Zack is so good.
Yeah,
he is. I'm sorry, but that is an actual true king of Final Fantasy VII. Sorry, but I'm not sorry for that comment.
Especially after Angeal's death, I feel like that was like a really big point of maturity for Zack. And how it showed within the scene where all those soldiers are lined up, he's in front and he's reciting what Angel told him. Basically, the speech about honor and everything. He looks at Cloud and he's like, you want to be in soldier? To protect your honor. It's like, bro, like that was so good. It shows that he's starting to really mature into his own person while still maintaining the ideals of what he's been taught. It's very
have honor and dreams.
That is a king. That isn't the true king of Final Fantasy VII. Sorry, I know I keep saying that a lot though, but I'm just like, oh my god, you're so cool. All right, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, but it's just, I know how I do have to appreciate the fact that, like, of course, like, this has to be bittersweet though, but it's like, the emotional side of me is just really saying, I'm just like, please bring him back, or rewrite the story to not have him die for me. I just like him that much. Obviously, like, I don't want, like, I don't know. I just feel so conflicted about it. It has to be the way how it has to be, but I'm so mad. I've never felt so conflicted that I had to even battle against it. Like, is it better that he stays dead, or is he, like, better off alive? Obviously, like, emotionally, how everyone feels about it, we would prefer him alive. But, like, how the story, it's like, well, it did create a bigger impact, and I'm mad that it did, because I appreciated him more than it made me realize of how much I actually appreciated him throughout my progress of actually going through this game, but through the movie cutscenes that I mean. But it just like, oh, all right, so I know I called you mid. Like I said, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But oh my god, it's just the fact. I also have to give him props to Cloud. Oh my god, The fact of like how he was trying to take care of Cloud when it was just him.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It was very nice.
He just lugs around his Mako comatose body everywhere, taking care of him.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do that, like, especially to, like, what just happened, you know? Holy shit.
You watch the cutscenes. In-game, you have to play that. You have to fight soldiers as they, like, try to take Cloud's body away.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
Yeah, like, you'll see them, like, drag him off screen, like, try to drag him off screen, and you have to, like, beat all the waves. And then eventually the one that's, like, dragging him will, like, run away and leave him there.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
It's good. It's good. The music too. The Price of Freedom is like Zack's song.
It is the
and
best.
The way they use it throughout the game is so good. It's like the leitmotif for the game. They incorporate it in like different ways and different songs. And it's very much Zack. It feels like Zack. Like Zack.
Yeah.
It's so good. This song, Price of Freedom, is so good.
Right. The soundtrack. Oh my God. I love the soundtrack for Crisis Core too. Just in general, 7 soundtrack is just so cool. It's just so fucking good though. But it's like going from like 7 to Avid Children and to Crisis Core that way. For the release date order, it's just so wow. They stepped it up a notch. I'm so
I liked a lot of Crisis Core stuff. They incorporated a lot of the guitar in it too, over the orchestral instruments, like violin.
And I love that because it does feel it was a new branch that they were doing for them for the soundtrack though, but like it complements it, and I love that.
Yeah, it was very good.
I will say the fact that I think it was the final boss fight. Damn, that made me feel some type of way. I'm not gonna lie.
The Shin troops?
No, not that. Like prior, like the big fight down there.
With Genesis?
With Genesis.
Genesis.
Yeah.
God, I hate Genesis. I took pleasure in killing him.
Yeah.
You know what? That boy really tried to win the goddess. He just fell.
Fun fact, she's a secret boss you can fight in that game.
Yeah.
I've never beaten her. Have you beaten her?
No, I haven't beaten her.
I wanna run Minerva's Fade one day.
Bro, I haven't touched Crisis Core for a very long time. So like watching the cutscenes just gave me a huge nostalgia attack. I was like, fuck. Because there were some parts within the movie that I legitimately did not remember going through. And I was like, oh wait. And then like I remember like other parts in later on, and it's like, oh yeah, this did happen. So yeah, it was like really nice watching it all over again.
And it was, I'm so glad that I did. Oh Lord. I know, like, okay, so I want to tell this to everybody. Zero here had to be the one to ensure I had the proper 7 experience, and I'm actually glad that I listened to him though. My original plan, I wanted to do 7 Remake, then do 7 and Avid Children and Crisis Core. But when I said that, because I was like, I don't know. I think it's okay that I did this. And then Zero, like, had to hold me. He was like, no. And I'm like, what? Why? He was like, no, Edo, please do the other way around. And I'm just like, okay, but why? And he was like, no, trust me. You'll thank me for it later. Just do that, please. You need to go through what we went through before we are going to remake. You don't get that treatment. You have to do this. And I'm just like, but Zero. He was like, no. And I'm like, fine. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll do that. I just hope it's worth it. Like, not doubting the fact that it won't be, but I'm just here going like, I don't see like why I really should. But like, obviously I'm like, okay, I should probably give that type of respect, because that's just how I usually am. I like to like do things, whatever, like I said, like, you know, play their classics and such, of any game before like an actual like a remake of something. That's just kind of how I usually do though. But like from how everyone was talking about it, that's why I was like, maybe it wouldn't be so bad that I just do remake first and such, and then going off to that though. And you know what? I'm glad that I did not actually. So
Yeah.
Oh Lord, I just remember like everyone here in the server, everyone stopped me from that though. But Zero was like hanging on. He was like, if I catch you playing remake, and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I won't.
I have to put my foot down. Like remake, you can definitely play it before playing anything else in 7. But remake itself is very much like a celebration of the entire compilation of 7. There's stuff from every game, novel, and movie in this game, in this game, and they're going to be in the future games, and you won't be able to like pick it up, or maybe like as some people were surprised about different things in it, without playing these other games or these other experiences first. Like you need to have them. It makes it so much better.
Yeah.
Like for example, I know you've been to the church where Aerith is, right?
Yes.
If you look at the ceiling, you see the hole Cloud made, and then next to the one he made is a bigger one from when Zack fell.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. No.
You didn't notice?
I did not notice that though. But now that you say that, I remember it now. I'm like, oh my god, I forgot about that. Fuck. I'm mad now. I'm so fucking mad. I'm so upset. Oh my lord. I'm sorry. It's just this game. I didn't think this would actually like put me at the edge of my seat, because I thought like, okay, honestly, I'm gonna say this right now confidently. I was not, like I said, I'm not downgrading Final Fantasy VII in any way, shape, or form when I say this though, but like when I looked at it, I thought it's like, okay, like I see that it could be like pretty good though, but it's like I'm not so sure how, like how it could like be above my top list of like just do like a memorable favorite of mine, like Persona 5 Royal and such. Yeah, no, I ate my words pretty bad. Yeah, that shit, I literally was overfed with dinner. It's like, yeah, all that shit that you were talking, okay. I will not talk shit about a game like that ever again.
Yeah.
So, which I am glad. So, so Crisis Core, my verdict on that. Now that we're talking about this again, I'm changing my score. I actually had it written down here as a note for me though, but I'm actually changing my score. I'm giving that a 9 out of 10. It was an A, but I'm giving that one more just because that, like, I don't know why, but it's like it for me, like it's rivaling, because like how I have it, it's like obviously Original 7, then Advent Children, and then there's Crisis Core. So basically like Original 7 and Crisis Core, they're like on par, and then Advent Children is a little bit like below. But something about Crisis Core, just like, I love 7, don't get me wrong though, but it's like, I've been having more of my days, like every time that like I go on with my days and I just think about Crisis Core, I've been thinking a little bit more about it more than I did with Original 7. And that's why I was like, I might want to put that a little bit over than Original 7, just because it was just that good. I don't know. At least that's just how it is for me. Because, like, don't get me wrong, like, I love everybody else in the game, with a couple questions that I've said for other characters and such, though. But it's like, I think Crisis Core was the one that hit too hard at me the most. So,
yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, like, at least that's all I really have to say in regards to Crisis Core. What about you guys?
Zero, you want to go first?
You can go first.
Well, I'll go with Crisis Core. For me, it was... When I was younger, I actually thought it would have been a 10 out of 10. There were some stuff within the story that was a little bit shaky. I feel like that was a result of the time and the technical limitations that it was on, which is why, like, I would love for a Crisis Core remake, but there's a bunch of stuff behind the scenes preventing that. I won't devolve in too much into it, but now, like, after experiencing it all over again, I would say it's like around 7 to 8 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
it felt really bittersweet, you know. And like just rewatching it after already playing everything and years after, it's like shit. It really did hurt because I knew the specific key moments and like I remembered them like right when they happened, like it was yesterday. It was I don't know. Like I feel like that's a product of a good story to where like key moments are so memorable even after years of not playing or like hearing about the story.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Zach's death and like that hit Aerith, like the times he spent with Aerith is very nice. Yeah, the music is obviously very memorable. Price of Freedom is my favorite.
I could see that, yeah. So how about you, Zero?
It is one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. I love Crisis Core a lot. It has a really, really special and tender place in my heart. It makes me kind of blind to it sometimes, but like, I'll call it on its faults because I love it. And you know, you should, you know, it's got issues. I won't deny that. But like, when it's good and it's on point, it is good. And I love the story. I love Zack. I love how they took such a simple like couple cutscenes in 7 and make this like big, really dope narrative for a character that we basically knew nothing about and didn't need to know anything about, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
Yeah.
If you have a PSP or like if you find means to play the game, not saying anything, but like, you know, I highly recommend playing it or even watching the cutscenes on YouTube. It only takes like 3 hours roughly.
4 hours.
If you play it, it takes like 8, but like it's worth it. It's such a good game. It's such a good experience. I love it.
Fair enough. So before I close off with this podcast, there's something that I do want to quickly just mention, just as Final Fantasy VII as a whole, like with the original, the Advent Children and Crisis Core. I'm just only saying this. Okay, so just to ensure that you guys get like the best idea of it, as of right now, as of today, this is being recorded on July the 16th, 2020. So with that date in mind, I pretty much, if you guys have been keeping up to date with my Twitter and my Twitch, you guys have noticed that I've already have begun with 7 Remake, and actually I am one stream off away from completing this game, which most likely, like, by the time this podcast goes up, I'm already gonna be done with Remake. So, and what I'm gonna say is the fact that I really am looking forward to the future of Remake. But that's pretty much like as to what I'm gonna say as of right now before I'm gonna have to see what the actual ending is. But I will say the fact that like that's why I made those earlier comments. It's like, I don't know if they're ever gonna do it though, but it's like, because of how much I'm invested into this game now, I'm just blindly kind of hoping that like we kind of do like revisit a little bit more with Advent Children and Crisis Core into the way of like the world of Remake. I doubt it might happen though, but if it does, like I don't know if it's just because it's holding that much of a special heart to me though, but at least it would just be nice to see though. But if it doesn't, I'm not gonna like sweat that much about it though. But I see now why people say, because I'm gonna say this right now, the way of how I got into Final Fantasy, in general, I will say I started off with Final Fantasy 15. And actually, I'm gonna say this as of right now, I do want to have a dedicated podcast regarding with Final Fantasy 15, but that's gonna be way later into the future of that, because there's a lot to talk about with 15 actually. So, but I will say the fact that like it's what got me very curious to the like how Final Fantasy works in general and such. Initially it was through Kingdom Hearts, but like obviously I did not have the time, and the one that gave me that chance of it was 15. But now that I played Final Fantasy 7 and watched some stuff and such, I heavily regret that I played 15, because I really would have wished that I played 7 sooner, when there was at least that small chance that I did have to play with those games, though. But all I'm gonna say is that I'm now glad I'm now in the full ride of 7. So I can now understand as to why people are like actually crying the fact that this game is actually getting a remake and we're revisiting Final Fantasy VII through the old times and such. I now understand so much to it. Like, I don't know if I could ever, like, I mean, in a way, there's some relation I can make with that, but of course, there are people that have, like, because again, this is like a very, very old game, and I just feel like there's so much emotion, intensity that this game comes with, the fact of like why people are like so much in love with this game so much. And I'm just proud to say the fact that like I'm now in this ride in a way for a remake, and I at least got to, like, in my lifetime that I got to experience this. If I did not, then, oh my lord, I would have remained ignorant for all this time about with Final Fantasy VII specifically, though. But it now makes me want to play the other Final Fantasy games more in the future and such, and then go from there and see what's actually going to happen. So, 15, it got me curious, but 7 is the game I will say that's actually making me want to play the other Final Fantasies, and I'm in it for the rides now.
Yes, we gonna make him play 6, y'all. We gonna make him play 6.
Wait,
don't even
6
trip.
or 9. 6 or 9.
We gonna make him play 6 or 9, y'all. Don't even trip.
Or 4. Or 10. Yeah, actually.
It's gonna be a slow process of this because of the games that have been coming out, though. I will say that much as of right now, but just expect that this will not be the last. Obviously, even when the remake podcast comes out, this will not be the last time that you're gonna hear about Final Fantasy in general. Especially with the exception of 15, it will not be the last time. I promise you that much. You will be expecting more of that here in Storm Connect podcast. So,
yes, sir.
Other than that, is there anything else you guys would like to say before we close this off?
Protect your
dreams. Play more video games.
Well, there you go.
Stay safe. Wear your mask.
Stay safe, yes, from the world events.
Yeah, stay safe. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Make sure you stretch. I know you've been sitting down listening to this podcast. Get up and stretch. Get some water. I'll see you.
But yeah, alrighty. That's all going to be for the podcast episode. If you are listening to the show on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave out a 5-star rating if you enjoyed the podcast. Hit up the Storm Connect Twitter at StormConnectEN or other platforms this podcast is on for feedback on the show. This is Edo Ninja and the Storm Clansman Discord server, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.